Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. It is, where is Commissioner Field? I know he was just out there. We'll give him a second, but I think we'll go ahead and start with our prayer and Pledge of Allegiance. So if y'all will stand with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful new day. We just turn this meeting now over to you. Ask that you would preside and lead and grant us wisdom, guidance, and direction that we would make prudent decisions here. We thank you for each person that has come and taken the time out of their schedule to attend this meeting, and ask your blessings upon them and safety as they leave here. We pray for our servicemen and women, wherever they may be, that you would watch over and protect them. We pray for the residents of Titus County, Lord, that you would bless this community, bless our economy, help those who are unable to work to get back to work. We just pray for the poor and needy within this community as well. Thank you for the jobs you have given to us, Lord. Just grant us the wisdom to do them. In the name of Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone to our February 9, 2015 meeting, our first meeting of the month, our regular meeting. Just a couple of moments after 9 o'clock, I'll begin with item number 1, public comments or requests for information on non-agenda items in accordance with section 551.042. For those that would like to speak, I ask that you complete one of these forms. I do have one here. Diana, would you like to wait and speak on the agenda item that you're interested in? Which is, which one? Okay. Oh, county, I see it. County guidelines and restrictions. Okay, I'll hold that one. Is there anyone else that wants to address the court on just a non-agenda item at this time? All right. Item number 2, consider and possibly approve minutes from our January 26, 2015 special meeting. That was our second meeting of the month in January.
Judge, I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reynolds. Oh, excuse me, Jimmy Reynolds. Commissioner Parker. That's my good friend Jimmy Reynolds. All in favor of approval of those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 3, consider and possibly approve minutes from January 27th, 2015 special meeting of the Commissioners Court. This was our closed meeting, executive session with our attorney. It was the day after that.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to approve those minutes also.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of approval of those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 4, status report for Titus County pass-through projects. Welcome Jenny and Mark from Houston. With PTP Transportation, for those of you that have not met these folks.
Commissioners, Judge, good morning.
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 Just a little update on the final 2 remaining pass-through projects. On US 271, you know, we had turned that over and opened that up back in November of last year. TxDOT had accepted the project. Last time I was here, we discussed that there were some concrete issues in one little section on an exit ramp, and we were able to work with TxDOT as well as Williams Brothers to get them to remobilize their staff and equipment to come back on the project. They did that the week of the 19th, like they stated in December, or in January, I'm sorry. Got all that repaired, got it fixed. TxDOT approved it. TxDOT was shocked, to say the least, that Williams Brothers would come back on the project after they were completely finished and turned over. But Williams Brothers stood behind it, got it repaired, everything's good. So 271 is in full force and traffic flowing both directions and counting cars for sure. As far as FM 1000 or 4000 goes, James Construction, to date, we've paid them a little over $17,098,686. That's about 90% of the estimate at this time. So far, we have given them 64 days of time extension since the seal coat time frame. And as we stopped charging days, 447 days were charged through December 25th. Currently, right now, I know folks have been out on the project. They've kind of seen the small crews that have been out there for James. The dirt crews that they have been working on dressing up the slopes and the ditches, as well as headers for seeding. Everybody's aware that 1735 and 2348 are 100% complete as far as the asphalt goes. All the barrels and so forth are pretty much moved out of the way. It's all in the main lanes of configuration. There still is some seeding that needs to be done around there. They're working on some of the traffic signals, things of that nature. They've got the poles in, but not all the electrical and lighting is in at this time. The bridge crews on Hart Creek, we've discussed that there were some issues with some of the coating on the rail that TxDOT was not happy with. We have gotten James Construction to go back out there. They've chipped away the pieces that were starting to kind of fragment off a little bit. It's just a thin layer of cement that was applied. So they've repaired that. TxDOT so far has been okay with it. I think we're going to wait and see once some of the warmer months get here, see how it holds up. There is some graffiti on top of the bridge railing as well. Somebody has done their nice little artistic abilities and some red spray paint and so forth. We will get the contractor to clean that off as well. Also around the bridge, they've been placing rock riprap as well around the cross culverts there. All the concrete paving crews that was redoing the repair work at the intersection of 271 and 4000, all that concrete has been busted out. It's been replaced. TxDOT is satisfied with the replacement and the method that TxDOT asked the contractor to do. That was all performed per TxDOT spec. Currently, right now, they are sawing the joints and filling them with an approved hot rubberized cement to allow the expansion joints. So if you go out there right now, the sub is on the project right now performing that task. Signal crew, they've made some good headway on the signals. The poles are up. They continue to pour some drill shaft foundations as well. Like I said, the poles have been placed. They're waiting to place the conduit. That needs to be done next. Waiting on James to get some folks in here at 271 and also at FM 1735. Pipe crews, they've been doing the remaining driveways. I think pretty much all the driveways are done. There's maybe one or two that are left to be constructed, so they'll get those wrapped up, we're hoping, here pretty quick. They are also on the medians at 1000 and 271. They're working on installing the brick pavers in the little islands around the poles, the signal poles there. So hopefully they'll start getting that going. Well, I was out there this morning, and they've got some of them just kind of stacked in there. All the materials are on site, but no crews are there as of yet. Southwest Environmental, that's the SW3P, the environmental consultant that's handling making sure all the silt fencing is taken care of properly, making sure all the riprap is cleaned up of the silt, making sure none of the silt is leaving the right-of-way. We have had our guy, Terry Plucker, was up here doing the SW3P report as well, and been working with James to make sure we get all that handled. The fence at UPRR has been installed. They do need to come back, do a little minor repair work, so that's the last remaining item on the fence over the bridge, so they can get that wrapped up. Seal coat crew, right now, they are still on hold till May 1st, weather permitting for sure. But we were informed that the contractor at this time is not leaving the project. In November, they told us they'd be done in December. In December, they told us they'd be done in January. In January, they said it was February and they were going to leave. Now they're saying they're not leaving at all. I think that's a good thing. With the small crew they have, we're seeing about 5 to 7 folks of James people on the project at any given time, and then their sub-consultants. So with that size of crew, we're going to need every day we can to make sure they can get everything done in time when May 1st rolls around, that they can start placing seal striping and then placing the final signs. We've listed a few remaining work items. We did this at the last commissioners, 2 commissioners courts ago. A lot of these things are still the same items you see. They're not major items, but the problem is in wrapping a project up, it's always the little things that catch us at the end, trying to push the contractor ahead to do some of this. They still need to remove Mr. Prefer's concrete driveway, but unfortunately, until the intersection is complete at 1000 and 271, they can't do that. They have stated their plans are for the 16th of this month, that week. They're going to be final striping that intersection. So hopefully by the end of that week, I believe they were updating in the meeting last week that Commissioner Parker and Commissioner Fields attended, that they were going to be able to have that intersection open, all the orange barrels removed. Now we say that, you know, things haven't gone as smoothly with the contractor. They haven't hit many of their deadlines. We feel pretty comfortable for sure by the end of February that can happen. But, you know, they're planning right now to have it striped the week of the 16th and then remove the barrels. But they got to get the islands done. They've got to get the signals finished up. There's still some work to be done, so they're going to have to get busy for sure. As we said, mulch sod seeding, that's a very critical item. In the TxDOT pass-through, TxDOT will not accept these projects, will not accept FM 4000 unless we have 70% of grass coverage. We all know we can't just place seed down today and expect grass to grow tomorrow. We've been harping on the contractors to get that going as rapidly as possible. We've kind of detailed a list of where it all needs to be placed. Go ahead and get the seed, the mulch, get all that out there. So when we get some of these rains and so forth, hopefully by May we'll have some grass coverage and be allowed for acceptance. Also, they need to rework the flex base before they can do the seal coat. They're probably going to start that towards around middle of March, give or take. Probably use the whole month of April to do that, to where May 1st, if the weather's permitting, they can start placing seal coat. You also have to perform an IRI on the flex base. That's just a test on the levelness of the road to check out how bumpy it is before they place seal coat. That will need to be done as well. Prime coat, blotter, that just has to be placed before they place the final coat of seal coat as well. Rock riprap needs to be placed on all the outfall ditches and culverts. Still a lot of that left to be done. There's a couple of driveway culverts that they're still working on. Intersection driveway surface treatment, that's still left. Like we mentioned, the directional islands at the intersection there, they're still working there. They need to finish up a few items on the chain link fence at UPRR. All the mailboxes have not been placed as of yet for the project. That's still one thing left. Signals, that's a major item of work. You know, there's a lot of conduit, a lot of electrical work that needs to be done. That is done by a sub, but they have made some headway. But that is another major critical thing they need to get working on. All the small road signs, we've agreed to allow the contractor not to place those until they are back to do really the seal coat. Reason for that was for damage and so forth. If any sign got damaged, you know, bullet holes through it, we'd have to be replacing that at the expense of the county. So we've allowed to let them hold off until they do the seal coat at that time. Reflectors, striping, as we mentioned, we did see they had done a little work on the bridge deck. TxDOT has requested them to flood the bridge deck at Hart Creek, make sure there's no water standing. Looks like when they made their final pass next to the railing, they kind of lifted up a little bit. That allowed the concrete to have a lip on it, so now a little bit of water stands underneath the rail on the edges. We're just going to have to go in and grind some of that stuff off, make sure the grooves are cut, get the water to go off the bridge. Work with TxDOT on methods of that, and that's all acceptable. So we've asked the contractor to do that ASAP. The problem is they're saying, look, we can work on the bridge any day. When we have bright sunny days, we need to be doing ditches and islands and different things of that nature. So we're trying to push them along on items that we feel are the most critical, but unfortunately they've kind of got a mind of their own as well. They're still working on finishing up the rail, we said, to make sure it's all one color. TxDOT has asked that Hart Creek rail and look, you know, pretty similar throughout. They have been working on that. We said they're out there today sawing and sealing the concrete paving. The joints need to be resawed because when they first went out there, they didn't get the full depth. So when our guys did the inspection, found out they were, you know, short. So now they had to bring the sawing contractor back in and saw those once more. As we said, ditches need to reshape, regrade those, make sure there's no water standing. Went out there a while ago, there's water in some of the ditches, but you know, it needs to be mowed. We've asked them to get out there and mow it today. That will help spread some of the seed and so forth. So hopefully they can start working on that. County Road 4410, Commissioner Fields, they've worked with us. They're supposed to be repairing that road. That's been an ongoing battle with them. There was an agreement between Commissioner Fields and the contractor to allow them to use that road. We've gone through multiple project managers as well. And so the reiteration of what everybody remembers of what the permit states they're supposed to do and what they actually say they're going to do are a couple of different things. So it's going to be a struggle, no doubt, but we're holding some demobilization from them. And so, before they leave the contract, we'll make sure that County Road 4410 is put back in better shape than it is today. Last thing, there's an asphalt bump on FM 2348. TxDOT has asked for that to be repaired. The contractor knew about it. They haven't come back yet to repair that. So once they get that, that'll wrap that up. As I said on the environmental update, Terry Plucker, our environmental affairs guy, he was here last week at the meeting with James Construction. We've had some issues with silt fence. We had some issues with the rock filter dams being clogged up. Need to make sure that all that is cleaned up, make sure we're within our permit and so forth. And Terry had worked with them, created them a list because it seems like they have a little bit of difficulty seeing the silt all piled up and so forth. Our guys took them out there, showed them where all this needs to be done, gave them some methods of how they can clean it up. Some of them need to be replaced. Some of them need to be put back that they took out and so forth. So Southwest Environmental, they're going to be working on that. They're actually supposed to be on the job today. I've not seen them as of yet, working on 1735 and 2348 as well as 4410, repairing those. We also stressed the need, Terry did, of the grass coverage. Like we said, we've got to get 70% coverage over the entire project, and that's of the land adjacent of grass growing in any land that we've disturbed. So saying that, we need to get the topsoil out there, we need to get the seed out there, we got to get the hay on top of it, hopefully use some of this rain we got to help it grow, and then by the time we get ready to seal coat, we'll have some coverage. If we wait around till May or June to get grass growing, grass isn't going to grow till August, July, August, September. TxDOT will not accept it. They've got to get out there today to start working on those ditches. So we've been pushing them. It's a slow process. There's not much other things that PTP, that the county can do. We feel James Construction is going to finish this project. They tell us every day they're going to finish it. They're not leaving the project. They're going to do it. Our concern, PTP's concern, the judge's concern, they've got a small work staff out there. So unfortunately, you're not going to see leaps and bounds of moving, at any given day. We're trying to pull them across the finish line, really, to get this project done. We mentioned before, the only other option the county has is a default. You look into that, then it puts us in jeopardy of maybe not making the next seal coat. And if we miss the seal coat, then we'll be waiting another year. They'll get it done. They're saying they've got 8 days worth of seal coat. Do I personally believe that? No, I don't. But can they finish it in 3-4 weeks? Yeah, that's very, very easily done. If they had the staff that was needed on this project, this stuff could be wrapped up in 30-45 days. The problem is they have 5 to 6 people out here, and they're the ones that have to clean the rail. They're the ones that have to run the maintainers. They're the ones that have to run the bulldozers. They've got to do the sawing. They're doing it all. And so it was brought up in the meeting, I believe, that James as well, we lost $1 million. Well, my answer to that is, the county is having to come out of their pocket to make these bond payments as well. So, we've got to make sure that they get this to completion. Our staff is out there doing everything we can, myself, Jenny, Bobby, Dick, Ralph, Alberto. It's just unfortunately, we have to work with what we have. But I do feel confident we'll make it. We're not going to be finished May 1st. It's not going to be May 15th, but it should be close around there. I mean, it's very doable to see this project wrapped up, by June, I would think. But if it's June 7th, it's June 7th, unfortunately. Any questions or anything I can answer regarding the status? We also, we have, the judge had asked me to reach out with Pat Planicki with James Construction to see if he would come to Commissioner's Court today to maybe address, the commissioners and the judge. Pat felt this was a little soon on short notice. I think it was Friday I talked to him. He had asked our staff to prepare a detailed checklist of everything that's not done on the project. It's not really our job to do that. It's not Titus County. They're the contractor. They should know what work needs to be done. Our staff worked Thursday and Friday to do all that. We just got that list late Friday, so we're going to review that today. We're going to send that to James, let him take a look at it, and let him see exactly what we feel all needs to be done before we're ready to seal coat come May 1st. So we've been working on that, you know, Pat says they're committed to staying and completing this project.
What does it say to you that the manager over this job doesn't even know what this job needs to complete?
Unfortunately, Judge, I think that's, you know, speaks volumes of how James Construction has managed this project, you know, and PTP standpoint, we've done projects all over the state like this, and a lot of contractors, James Construction is a large contractor. The problem is they don't have a manager on this project day in and day out. And so when you don't have somebody here every day, you don't see the little things like fences being damaged, ditches not finished, you know, the grass not being done, a couple of driveways being left off. So the folks in the field are telling the manager something, and then the manager's telling his boss something, and all these stories are a little bit different. And then when we come to the meeting and our staff outline exactly what needs to be done, they're like, oh yeah, we can do that. Oh, it's going to take a week. Oh yeah, that's going to take 3 days. The problem is when they say something's going to take a week to 3 days, it takes 2 weeks to a month. Now, if they've got a staff out here, they can do it. But in the meeting, I believe it was stated that, you know, Glenn Dunlop, who's the third or fourth project manager we've had out here, that it's not his guys' fault that are out here working. They're doing the best job they can. It's his and his boss, Pat Planicki, because they're the ones that can dedicate how much staff needs to be here. The problem is they're not willing to dedicate any more staff than what they have. And so with that, that's why we're struggling the way we are. We can't finish all this with 5 or 6 people in 30 to 60 days. It's going to take months to do it. We need more staff on the project. You need a dirt crew, you need a signal crew, you're going to have a couple of seal coat crews. You can't have 4 or 5 people doing this. And so until Pat and them are willing to bring more staff on, day in and day out, we're going to keep fighting these same struggles. And I don't see them bringing any more people than what they have today. When it comes to seal coat, yeah, they're going to have to bring a couple more crews. But we need more crews today to finish up what we have. But when you talk to Pat about that, he's like, well, you know, if I bring 2 more crews, they're just standing on top of each other, and it rains every other day. So what benefit is that? But on days like today, on days like this week, you got 2, 3, 4 crews up here, we can knock some work out. But you got to have somebody managing those people. Nobody is making sure. They brought up an instance of, you know, we're asking them about when they're going to seed around the signal poles and that at the intersection of 1000 and 271. They're like, well, we're going to put seed and hay mulch around that this week. So our guys are like, well, when are you going to run the conduit? Oh, the conduit's not in? That's their whole idea. They're going to go seed it and mulch it, and then they're going to have to cut through it to put conduit in, which really is just doing rework after rework. But none of them want to look at a set of plans. None of them, you know, I hate to say care enough, but it's just the attention to detail, unfortunately, if you don't have a manager. So that's what our guys are trying to do. Our guys are trying to manage their guys, but they don't want to listen to us because they don't work for us, really. They work for Glenn. They work for Pat. And so it's a struggle out there. I mean, it's difficult for our folks, you know. It hasn't been, you know, the smoothest, you know, operation out there between communication because, you know, they want to do it their way. And so now we've put a list together to where we've labeled the items 1 through 33. The top 4 items are the most important ones that need to be done on this project. We can give it to them. We can ask them to do it. We can bring it up in the meetings. We can't forcefully make them do it. That's the bad thing. And so you just keep pounding your head up against that wall.
Okay, I've asked Mark to arrange for Pat, who's apparently the still standing overseer over this job. I've asked him to come and speak directly to the commissioner's court, whether we have to call a special meeting or I was hoping he would come today, but it may be 2 weeks or it may be sometime in between now and then. But I think we need to look him in the eye and ask him what his plan is. I don't know what else to do.
And Judge, I know we've had multiple meetings, yourself, Commissioner Fields, with Pat, with the guy before Pat, Planicki. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's going to tell us anything different because I believe he's going to tell Commissioner's Court and the taxpayers the same thing he tells you and I. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. And they will get it done. I'm not saying they're not. It's just the time frame and what it's going to take to get to where we need to be, unfortunately. But, you know, we have to keep trying. We have to keep pushing them, because if we don't, the other option is just not an option, unfortunately.
Okay, and Pat was the same gentleman that we met with back, when was that, last summer?
Yes.
That assured us he would be finished with the seal coat by September.
That's correct. Yes.
So, just so that the court understands what the ramifications of these continued delays are, it's more than just having to tell the residents of Titus County, sorry, your road's not ready yet. It'll be a few more weeks. Here's the reality. On March 1st, we have a bond payment due, roughly in the amount of $7 million. 7.9. And that's one of two semi-annual payments. The second one will be considerably smaller because it doesn't include principal. It'll be roughly $3 million. So about nearly $11 million worth of bond payments each year. When this project was put together and the bonds were sold, the guys putting together those plans had to project when revenues would be coming to pay those bonds. And we all know that this is a pass-through toll project, and we receive money back from TxDOT to assist us with paying for those bonds. Part of it is made up with tax revenues, where we raised the tax rate years ago to bring in additional tax revenues from the county, but the bulk of it is based on reimbursements from TxDOT. And those reimbursements will come as follows. When the roads are all finished, that means all three projects, 271, 2348, and FM 4000, then after a 3-month wait, they will begin paying us back a minimum of $4.2 million every 6 months. That, over 20 years, is your $168 million. Until the roads are complete, all three, we are paid on a modified basis, and that means that they actually pay us on a per vehicle mile. Well, we are obviously not complete, and so we're not eligible for that full $4.2 million that originally was projected to have been received right about now, in time for this big payment here on the 1st of March. So as a result of failure to complete 4,000 back in the fall when it was supposed to have been done, we are not getting a full reimbursement from TxDOT to make this first payment. We are receiving partial reimbursement based on per vehicle miles. That's leaving us short. You will see here in another agenda item here in just a bit that we're having to pull $920,000 out of our general fund in order to make this bond payment on the 1st of March. If this delay continues, our next bond payment due in September, we will still be on a modified basis. Now, here we are shooting for completion in mid-May, and it's my understanding that if we're not done with all three projects by June 1, then by the terms of that agreement, we're not eligible to receive, even then, our full $4.2 million by the time we need it in September. Now, it is a smaller payment, and between the modified payment schedule and whatever resources the county has, we will, I believe, barely be able to make that $3 million payment in September. The problem is there's no additional money that comes in that sets us up for March of 2016. And if we don't have that full $4.2 million come in by next August, or this August, then we'll be in jeopardy of having to dip into general reserves once again come this time next year. Try as we may, we made our very best effort at getting TxDOT to understand our predicament. and to get some assistance in modifying the terms of the payback and getting some early payment to us so that we didn't have to dip into general fund. Came up short. We're not able to get that done. Didn't have strong enough friends in the right places. I don't know what it was, but we're not able to do that. So we will take some money out of our general fund to meet our debt obligation, and we may be sitting here in the same situation come next year. So understand, this is part of the problem in dealing with James Construction and getting this project finished. It is really important to have this project done and accepted by June 1. Do I think it's going to happen? I have serious doubts. Everything they've told me thus far has not come to fruition. Why should I believe that it's going to happen this time? And I'm not, you and I have had this conversation. I know I'm not talking to you, but I'm telling the guys sitting up here at this table what the situation is. So that if you have any ideas on how to better wrap this job up, I'd like to hear from you. The modified payment schedule will hopefully improve on a per vehicle mile as the traffic increases on these roads, but we need to get to that minimum $4.2 million. We don't need the roughly $3 million that I'm projecting that we're going to get until 1,000 is complete. So that's what I'll tell Pat. I'm not sure. That's what I told him last year, and it didn't make any difference.
Yes, sir.
But here we are, so close we can taste it, and yet these guys barely give us, a truckload of men to wrap this job up. And I'm sorry that they're $1 million in the hole. If that's really true, Titus County is going to be $1 million in the hole after we approve this item here, and we may be another $1.5 million in the hole a year from now if this job doesn't get wrapped up. So again, guys, if you have any ideas on how to ensure that this job gets wrapped up, please let us know. And bailing on James Construction Group is not the answer right now, and tacking another 6 months onto this job, then we'll really be in trouble. We've got to figure out a way to finesse this crew of men to get this job finished.
And Judge, the biggest holdback right now has always been the seal coat, unfortunately. The seal coat season, when it ended and when it starts May 1st. With our June 1st deadline, it's just, there's a lot of work to be done. Even if they have everything done before that, just a seal coat, stripe, signs, and get TxDOT to accept it. My memory serves us correctly, it took us 62 days to get, 63 days to get US 271 accepted by TxDOT. Now, that means you got to get the area office out there to do a punch list. We got to get it, punch list done. You got to get the district office to come out there. They've got to do their work. Then we get that checklist, and then we got to get the contractor to fix that. It takes time, unfortunately. So if they can't start seal coat till May 1, and let's say the weather is perfect the whole month of May, there's a lot of things that have to be done in the month of May to make it. Can it be done in June? Yeah, sure it can. Could it maybe fall into July? Maybe the worst case. The problem is we're up against this June 1 deadline. But the contractor cannot start laying seal coat. The earliest is May 1st, and that's still contingent upon the weather. So it's difficult, most definitely.
Well, let us know when Pat is willing to meet with the commission.
Sure, I will. I'm going to send him the list today of our detailed by station numbers, so forth, showing what we feel all needs to be repaired, fixed, reworked, worked, so forth, and then we'll see what he has to say.
Anyone have a question, comment?
I'd just like to say, Mark, that I would appreciate y'all, and I know you have been, but I'd just like to say that I'd appreciate y'all keeping pressure on them to try to get some more folks up here.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
That's what it's going to take, and I'd appreciate y'all keeping pressure on them daily to
Yes,
try
sir.
to get some more people up here.
And we are trying that. I mean, it sounds like the only people that are authorized to issue more people is really Pat, maybe Glenn, but I think Glenn kind of pushed it off to Pat's side. So, I mean, we're doing everything we can. The judge, we've tried to get Pat to come up here and talk. Like I said, I don't believe it'll do much good, but at least everybody hears it for themselves, and maybe it will hold their feet to the fire a little bit more. But we're going to do everything we can to keep saying, look, even if we have to be the manager of their guys and that's what we're willing to do, that's what we're doing, but we're just going to have to pull them up the hill, unfortunately.
Well, I've heard Pat say it before. I don't want to come to a meeting and listen to him say it again. Let him spend that time working. I don't have any desire to hear the same story again. He'll tell us the same thing. I think it'd be a waste of my time. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I know you've got something else you'd rather be doing. And Pat could spend his time on the job.
Yes, sir.
That's my opinion.
I'll relay that message.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mark.
All right, let's move right on into a related matter. Consider and possibly approve change order number 16 for the final quantity reconciliation on US 271.
Yes, Judge. Change order 16 is really just the final, what we call the balancing change order for the Williams Brothers construction contract. What happens is at the end of the project, when they're asking to be paid, they're demold, and then we're finalizing the last remaining quantities to see if anything was left, if maybe we forgot to pay them for a driveway that they did, or if they think they should be paid more for pipe culvert or whatever the case. We're just reconciling the numbers, making sure material on hand was cleared off, so forth. So just so everybody's aware, the original price on the contract was $72,825,618.51. Total prior change orders were $616,000. Total force account work was $1,851,000. So it gave to a total contracted price for US 271 of $75,293,925.10 to do all the work to build US 271. After all that was left, contractors paid 100%. The net resulting charge for 271 was $74,087,775.86. That left a remaining credit to the county of $1,206,149.44. With that, that's what we have been calling the savings of the contract. When the contract was first, the budget was first put together, that line item had about $72 million budgeted in for it. It ended up costing us, we thought $75 million. We were able to do it for $74. But in some of those savings, there were items that were not, that you didn't budget for, like the railroad flagger, because you don't know how many days a railroad flagger is going to be out there. So some of that money was used up for, like we said, railroad flagging, and railroad flagging was $212,430, which is direct payment to UPRR, which had to come out of the construction project. There were also items like electrical service poles that we've been paying for through the county as well, $16,000. The clearing contract at H.H. and Howard, that was $720,296. Survey company, that was $90,000 as well. And then textiles, we had to pay them to do the D9 inspection, was another $90,000 that had to be paid. So as the items went up and down, budgeted across, there was a savings of the overall, but then some of that money was used to pay some other items and so forth throughout the contract. So I think the net number that got credited back.
We've already moved $660,000 back into contingency. We have about another $148,000, I think, that will move after this change order. So everything is finalized in that line.
And so for that, the contingency would be sitting, I guess, in that $800,000 range, give or take.
So I don't know.
Yeah, so the remaining money that was saved off falls back to the contingency, and so this is just the final balancing number that TxDOT's been asking, so we can finalize this up and send them all the final documents to their district office for review. So Williams Brothers has signed it. There's no payment to them. PTP signed it, and then TxDOT has approved off as well. So we're just asking the court for consideration.
Okay.
Make that motion, we approve the change order number 16.
Motion by Commissioner Fields for approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parker. Just kind of a recap here, the original price, $72.8 million. It ended up costing us $74 million. So about 1.2 more than expected. That was made up of $600,000 worth of change orders and $1.85 million worth of bridge work. Had it not been for that, we'd have come in significantly under there.
Yep.
So again, change order 1.2 million credit to the county here. I got a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. All right, I will sign this. All right, thank you, Mark. Jenny, anything you want to add? Not requiring that, just wondered if you were.
The only thing I would say is, we're happy that 271 came in under budget. I mean, we set these budgets back in 2007, I think is when we set the budget numbers for those construction contracts. 271, when we awarded it, was more than what we originally anticipated it would be. And Williams Brothers was, I met with them the other day. They were a really good partner, as was H.H. Howard on the 2348 project. That one came in under budget. And as it sits right now, even with the great deal of consternation we all have over the progress that James is making, it looks like that project's going to come in just below budget, not tremendously, but just below budget. I think I have to attribute that to the fact that we've had Bobby Dick up here, who has done, as far as I'm concerned, an excellent job for both PPP and Titus County, and I know we pulled him back some to save the county money while James is not working at what we consider to be full speed. We have had him up here more. I know Commissioner Parker and Commissioner Fields have seen him more often. We've had him up here 2 or 3 days a week, because Bobby's the kind of guy. Our other 2 inspectors are great people. They do a really good job at what they do. But if we're going to have to become the backfill project manager, which it looks like we are on 1,000, Bobby's the kind of guy who can get it done, and working with Mark and to me to some extent, keep us better apprised of the true situation. To the extent that James' upper management is going to do anything. The sad part about these construction contracts is, the state and the feds require Titus County, and if they're accepting state and fed money, which these projects do, to progress on the low bid situation. And those low bid contracts, unfortunately, there's nothing that this court can do to compel James Construction to put more staff out there, to come explain to you why they're not putting more staff out there, to work with us in what we hope to be a harmonious situation, so we can all reach the goal that we're trying to get to. I think Mark's done an excellent job in trying to get some attention. If we talk about bucketing up somewhere above the project manager that he's been dealing with. The sad part is, as disconnected as Pat is to this job, the next guy up the ladder is going to be further disconnected from it. And so, we can go sit in Louisiana and talk to their upper management. Are we going to, we're going to get a whole lot more attention? That's the frustrating part of it. And it's frustrating for our guys, and I know it's much more frustrating for you as a court, because you're having to deal with it. But, we're trying to bring these projects in under budget. We understand the money situation you're in. We're trying to help rectify that through other avenues, but we just have to keep plugging away, and that's what we're trying to do. And we appreciate y'all's patience and understanding as we all drag an unwilling partner across that finish line to wrap up that project. A year from now, we'll all have good memories of it. Okay, it doesn't feel that way, right?
Promise?
I hope so. Not the work. So.
What was the next lowest bid above their 17?
It was my memory is it was about $500,000 more. Wait, which one? 271?
No, on
1,000.
1,000.
It was a pretty good gap.
Yeah, it was a pretty good gap, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm thinking $2 million.
Well, this was a $19 million. There's a $19 million. So maybe it was $2 million on that one. This project of all the budgets, the 1,000 project bid proportionately higher than what was budgeted. And part of that was because it had been delayed back in environmental, it shoved this project to a point where construction activity had escalated in the state, and so everybody was busy doing construction all over, and that just makes pricing go up. And so, you know, that's the snowball effect of being delayed 4 years ago in environmental that got us to the fact that James, who's delayed in 6-8 months, is on top of a year delay in environmental, and so it's the cumulative effect of all those things. But it's, you know, I mean, we are trying to save you guys money every day we can. The other thing Mark didn't bring up, because we know how critical the June 1st deadline is, actually June 4th is the cutoff date for the next county cycle. Our staff is working diligently right now to pull together all the documentation for the FF1000 project. Now, obviously, the last piece that will be done is the final change order and pay estimate to James. But Vanessa and her staff have been already working, and we've got boxes ready to go in anticipation of the fact that the TxDOT Atlanta District is going to say, well, we can't pay you unless we have documentation. Well, our intent is to be able to deliver that documentation, minus maybe that one piece of paper, on the day that James finishes up. So, you know, that's bringing all those pieces together. So,
All right. Thank you. Item number 6, presentation by Lanny Walker with Arnold Walker Arnold related to Titus County's audit for September of 2014 year end. Welcome, Lanny.
Thank you for letting me be here with you today. Thanks for letting us do this work for you again. We do appreciate it. Let me just start off by saying you have a clean opinion, what's now called an unmodified report, where we don't have to make any modifications or qualifications to it or anything like that. Everything's fairly stated. You get very good information each month in order to make the decisions you need to make. Carl and Christy, Cheryl, all do a great job of taking care of your records and your books and making sure that you know everything's done as it should be done. So they do a really good job for you. I'll just kind of run you through this report real quick and highlight a few things. If you would look over on page 3 is where I will begin. Just some verbiage here about things. The net position of the county at the end of the fiscal year was $41.9 million. And of course what that is, that's all the cash, all the assets, everything you have, including buildings and roads and construction in progress on the roads. You take away all the debt, all the payables and things like that, the liabilities that you have. At that point in time, the difference was a positive $41.9 million. That's an increase of $2.2 million over the prior year. The property tax and sales tax revenues were down a little bit this year, about $300,000. Of course, the property values were down, as you all know. The City of Mount Pleasant and the Water District and TxDOT contributed $6.3 million this year toward the loop construction. Of course, that was the part that the city and the Water District had pledged to the county in order to make this happen. The total cost of all the activities of the county was about 4% more, or $757,000 compared to the prior year. The general fund balance at the end of the year was $6.16 million. That's a decrease of $220,000. And again, tax revenue and sales tax revenue were down some. And we'll show you the exhibits here in a moment. But then really the other thing that I saw that caused the decrease was did just a lot of building renovation and construction without borrowing any money for that, which was about, I believe, $550,000 approximately that was spent in this fiscal year on those objects, on those things, those projects. During this year, $26.9 million in fixed assets were added. Of course, most of that's the loop construction. At this point in time, as of this audit, $152 million had been spent on the loop project. And of course, that was all still reflected in construction progress at that point in time. At this point in time also, there was $13.6 million in fund balance that's restricted for construction at that point. So still had some money left to be spent. Also, there's $3.34 million in debt service fund balances available to pay on debt. And then all the other special revenue funds had fund balances of $1.32 million. And for this fiscal year, as far as the property tax that was assessed for this budget, 97% of that had been collected by September 30th of 14. So very good collection rate. Looking over on page 12. Page 12, this is what I would call a balance sheet. Or if you could go in terms, it's called a statement of net position. I've already talked about what your net position was. And this schedule right here really is a place where you can see all the assets, all the liabilities that the county has. And it's kind of like full accrual type basis. It's not the budgetary basis like we'll look at for the general fund in a moment. But on this presentation, like I said, all the fixed assets are presented, all the liabilities are presented. And of course, we take depreciation on the assets that are completed. And it's like presenting this for for-profit entities. And the bond companies and people like that required this a few years ago, and that's why we do this. But under governmental activities, cash and cash equivalents, $8.1 million at this point in time. The restricted cash is a little further down there, $19.5 million. That's down $29 million compared to the prior year because of all the loop construction work that occurred. During this year, as I said, there was $26 million construction on that. And then as far as other assets added, other than just road construction, there was $728,000 new additions. Again, building renovations, cars, sheriff's department cars, computers, things like that were put into place this year. And the depreciation that we took on all of those assets was a little over $1 million. So you walk that down, and again, $41.8 million approximately in net position at the end of the year. The business type activities, that's the election fund and the commissary store. Those, of course, have to pay their own way. They're like a for-profit type operation. And so you can't supplement those, with tax-free money or anything like that. But about $147,000 net position in those funds at the end of the year, and that was an increase of $44,000. Let's look on over to page 15 and 16, and these are a little bit more like what you used to see and how you're thinking as far as budgetary type basis. And in this presentation, the things like debt principal payments and fixed asset purchases are still reflected in expenditures because they're budgeted items. And so this is really kind of more like the way you really think as far as the operations of the county. Under the general fund, I mentioned earlier that the fund balance was down $220,000, but at the end of the year, there was $6.16 million in fund balance in the general fund. The major debt service fund, we have some rules as to how we have to present these statements, and it's considered a major fund. That's the 2009 bond fund. That fund ended the year with $1.36 million in fund balance, an increase of $141,000. And then the major capital projects fund, of course, is the loop construction project. Ended the year with $10.1 million in fund balance there in that fund. Of course, obviously, went down by $26 million because of the construction that took place. The other funds, and that's just all the other governmental type funds that we're allowed to present as one column on this page. And if you look back further in the report, you'll see a breakdown of what all those funds are. But these funds had an increase in fund balance of $86,000 for the year. And if you look on over on page 18 and 19, this is the statement of revenues and expenditures and changes in fund balance for these funds that we just looked at. Again, as I mentioned, the general fund had a decrease of $220,000 to fund balance for this year. The tax revenue was $6.9 million, and that was a decrease of $342,000 compared to the prior year. Again, property taxes were down because of the decrease in property values by $274,000, and then the sales tax revenue was down about $105,000. Charges for services, you can see, was $1,448,000, and really that was down some, and the main reason for that being down was inmate housing revenue was down $140,000 compared to the prior year. So total revenue was down about $650,000. The expenses or expenditures of the general fund, not a whole lot of difference comparing year to year. The public safety category was $4.5 million. That was an increase of about $140,000. And main reason for that was more hospital insurance costs were charged into that category as we look. I'll show you in a minute those internal service funds, and the costs were more in the self-insurance fund this year than the prior year. And then also capital outlay, $558,000 spent on different things this year. A lot of that being, as I said, building renovation, and that was about $280,000 more than the previous year. And again, no money was borrowed to fund those purchases or those renovations. And so, that's one of the biggest reasons, I think, that and the property tax being down for the decrease in the general fund balance. But I think did a very good job of the decrease being no more than that, because of the taxes being down, inmate housing being down. So, it's not a very significant decrease considering those things. I wanted to call your attention over to the other funds column, just mention a couple of things. The non-major special revenue funds, which are funds that really, the money's kind of designated for different purposes and has to be spent for those things. Those funds were up $122,000. The non-major debt service funds were up $341,000. And then the non-major capital projects funds was down $377,000. And the reason for that's the 2004 right-of-way capital projects. And there was money spent in there for various, I think that was just actually mine, right? Wasn't it, Carl? That's right. Utility, yes, right. Paid to Tri-Water and the city of Mount Pleasant. So then look on page 22, if you will. This is the statement of net position on the proprietary funds and the internal service funds. I've already mentioned the proprietary funds, but then the total internal service funds, that net position was down $121,000. And if you look on the next page, on page 23, and mainly that's the self-funded health insurance fund, and then the county barn is considered an internal service fund as well. But the main reason for the decrease there of $121,000 is the fact that the expenses were up $777,000. The insurance and medical claims were just a lot more this time than the previous year. I think the previous year was a pretty healthy year for the county employees, and then this year was not quite so good. So, but again, the financial condition of the county is excellent at this point in time. Fund balance in the general fund is still really good, and again, I think y'all watched it really well this year, and so it's a very good audit in my opinion. And say the controls are good. I don't have any internal control findings related to any of this, and so if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Well, Lanny, thank you. We appreciate, once again, you providing this audit for us this year. Thank you for your report. Thank you for being here with us today.
All right.
I don't want to cut anybody off. Commissioners, anybody have a question or a comment for Lanny?
No questions.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you
very
very
much.
much. Thanks for waiting on us.
Thank you, Lanny.
Item number 7, presentation by Hudson Old with Northeast Tech. What's that?
You have to approve that on number 6, of course.
Oh, with possible action to follow, that's right. All right. Yeah, I did allow for that. Last year, we had to wait 2 weeks. If you want to let this soak a while longer, fine. If you want to go ahead and approve that audit today, that's fine as well.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Motion
Second.
by Commissioner Riddle for approval of the Arnold Walker Arnold audit for 2014, September 30th. Second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All right, item number 7, Hudson.
Right here.
I apologize, I don't know why. Item number 8, consider and possibly approve renewal of membership with Northeast Texas Regional Mobility Authority. I hate to keep riding this. This is a $2,500 membership, is that right? $2,000, $2,500? Okay. I think Hudson will give you some pros and cons about our membership with Northeast Texas Regional Mobility Authority. I still would have liked for him to have given you his opinion on that. Nonetheless, I would ask that we continue with Net RMA. I've got a visit next week from the Executive Director and the President of Northeast Texas Regional Mobility Authority. I believe that despite the fact that we haven't gotten a lot of direct benefit from this, I believe that our continued membership with them is important, and I think if we'll be patient. I did contact Northeast Texas Regional Mobility Authority, whose former president there was Jeff Austin, who's now one of the commissioners on the TxDOT Commission. And so we've got a good, strong connection there through Jeff Austin, who is from Tyler. So I see good days ahead for Net RMA, and I would like to see us, at least for this next year, continue our membership. So I would make that in the form of a motion. If you want to wait and hear from Hudson, I totally understand.
I would like to wait personally, to hear what he
Okay.
says.
Judge, these regional areas are set up all over the state. And if we have projects in the future that need to be done, if we don't have somebody in Austin fighting for us, we're not going to get those projects. And I think it is very important to us to continue to be a part of that. And I've been there before and been down there, and if you want to have a say-so at the table, you better have somebody in your area representing you that can talk for you. So with Mr. Austin down there, I think it's very important.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Hudson is going to bring to you some frustrations regarding his continued participation with Northeast Texas Regional Mobility Authority. I think that he believes that the focus has primarily been on the Tyler area for many years, and he truly questions whether or not this is of much benefit to us. That's just what I've gleaned in my conversations with him. That's why I wanted you to hear what I have heard. That's all I have.
That was exactly what I was going to say. I mean, that's what he has expressed, that as frustration, but he never has said he was against it or for it, in my opinion, but he gets flustered because of he thinks it's all focused toward Tyler or Interstate 20. He thinks.
And I would agree with him. Thus far, it has been. Hudson is appointed by the Commissioner's Court to serve in this capacity. He may be coming to the point where he's tired of representing us, and we may need somebody else if we choose to continue. But once again, I would make a motion that we would continue. If you would, I still would like to hear from him, and or I think we can get a visit from the two that are coming to see me next week, and I'll extend an invitation to any of y'all if you'd like me to give you details when they are coming, whether you meet with me or whether you meet after my time with them. I would encourage you to do so.
Judge, I think it's vital that we continue to stay on this, and I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Was that one name?
No, I agree. We
Okay.
can stay with it until we know. I don't.
All right, and once
Well,
again, I'll let
it's-
you know
it's-
what the date is when the executive director comes to see us. We have not had a visit from them, but they have agreed to come up and talk. In fact, they initiated it.
Judge, it's one of those kind of catch-22 deals. If we're going to have any representation in Austin and projects in the future for just not Titus County, but any of the Northeast Texas counties, we're going to have to be there to be a part of that, and I think it's very important.
Well, I think net RMA is one form of representation. There are others. We are not totally dependent upon them, but again, all right, thank you for your approval on that. Let's go on to item number 9, consider and possibly approve change orders for the Ratliff Building remodel. Morning, Chris.
Morning.
Thank you.
Richard Jones has been working over there for a few weeks right now. He's completed the demolition. Unfortunately, as we kind of predicted before, when we don't do demolition first, we're open for some surprises. I have to say I was really surprised, as was Richard Jones, on some of the surprises we found with the demolition over there. The building was built several years ago, and there were several things that were wrong with the original construction that we're finding now that we're demolishing it. There are no existing drawings on the Ratliff building. So one of the things that comes out of all of this is all of this renovation, we need to make sure that once we finish completion of the construction, we give you guys as-built drawings that are kept on file with the county clerk, so that the next guy that comes in knows what's actually there. That being said, the things that we found under the demolition, there's no existing insulation in the exterior walls. We had thought the paneling that was all over there that was put in back in that era when paneling was big was actually attached to gypboard, which would have been on a stud wall that was attached to the concrete block wall. It was not. The paneling was directly glued to the concrete block. There is no insulation in those exterior walls at all, which might have explained why Leonard and his crew over there were having air conditioning problems and heating problems that led to several years ago the air conditioning being redone. There is no insulation in there, so the fix is to re-stud out those walls, put the gypboard up, and put some insulation in that walls. And the additional cost to do that is the entire exterior of the building, the inside of the exterior of the building, which is about 170 linear feet. 230 linear feet of 8-foot wall all the way around that's got to be redone. The other thing we found is the exterior walls are not square. The building was not built square. Now, that's not a cost included, but it does mean we're going to have to do some things as we adjust the ceiling grid to accommodate. It's 1.5 inches out of square on the building. There is no insulation under the roof. That causes another big concern in that we were going to use the return air plenum as we were on adult probation to return air. What is actually on the ceiling is a fireproofing cellulite, which does have some insulated value, but after we got everything torn down, it's falling off. It's aged and it's falling off. There's been some water leaks in the roof in the past. There's none there now currently, but where there was water leaks, it's rusted and the cellulite is falling down. So I can't use the return air plenum to return the air because it's not, one, it's not insulated, and two, it's got all this dust from the cellulite that would be coming into the system, which is, it's not, I'm not allowed. That also means we've got to insulate the ceiling. We will duct the return, and the price over there is to duct the return. We are saving some dollars in that we figured out with Roberts a way to use some of the supply duct that was over there, and we will turning it into return air duct. So we won't have to build, on the south side, we won't be building return air duct. We'll only build return air duct on the north side. We'll use the existing supply line that's left over there as return, and then still be putting in the new supplies that we can do anyway. The hallway walls over there were never attached. As we took down the walls, were taken out, the walls were just wobbling. They were also improperly built and attached not only to the floor but the ceiling. So those walls had to come out and they would have to be rebuilt. Since we're not going to be, we're going to be using the return air plenum. The doors that were in over there were hollow core. We're putting in good wood, oak doors, solid doors over there now. Everywhere else, we're going to reuse some doors. They're all hollow core. They had vents cut in them because they were improperly returning in the old way. They were returning through the hallway, which you're not allowed to do. And so those doors have to be replaced, and there's a cost to replace several doors. The mechanical room door lock, nobody ever had a key to it. Every time we've gotten into there, we've had to jimmy open the lock to actually get into there where the air conditioning units are. That has already been replaced, so that's the only thing that has been done on this list already. Everything else is pending your approval, but we went ahead and replaced that lock at $80 so that we wouldn't have any vandalism on those units that were in that closet that didn't have a lock on it. And the other thing that was over there is that several previous renovations never removed the old glue that was on the floor. Richard's crew spent over a week with 2 people sanding, trying to get 3 layers of glue off the floor so that we can reattach the tile that's going down in there. That first became known when we started taking out the tile, and it popped up just really easy. I mean, he had the tile up in less than a couple hours over the whole building because it wasn't sticking. And it wasn't sticking because they glued the glue on top of old glue. And so all that had to come out, and it's been all taken out now. But he's not requested a change on that, cost change on that. Those are the demolition changes and the fixes, and that total cost of all of those changes combined is about $26,565.
Why do we need to replace the doors?
They're hollow core doors, and they're not reusable now, and it's really not going to look like the rest of the doors. I mean, you can go with some cheaper doors and replace them with hollow core, but the upgrade that you're doing over there is going to oak and going to nice wood finishes. They would not match.
Well, what was found that now results in us having to replace those doors? I mean,
They don't need to have the vents in them, and the vents allow sound to go through it, and you don't have the privacy in the rooms. If you do, you have the vents in there. They had the vents in there because they were returning all the air through the offices into the hallway back into the vent, and that's not the way it's going to happen now. It's going to actually return through the ceiling.
how many doors are we talking about?
There's 3 doors, or 4 doors. There's 4 doors there.
$1,000 a door.
Installed and trimmed out. Solid core doors are not inexpensive. There are also some user changes that, working with Judy Cook and her folks, that I told you about some of the others, but they were never in the price, and that was raising the counter height. They were designed over there to be at 30 inches, which is desk height. For security of the way they handle their money, everything, they wanted it raised up so that the drawers or cash drawers that they're dealing with aren't viewable to the public. And the counter at the public's at 42 inches, so everything was raised up to 42 inches so that the cash drawers are underneath and the public that's standing at the counter can't see as they handle their cash in their drawers. So that was that change for that one.
We didn't know that at the time of the bid.
We didn't have a price on it at the time of the bid because they hadn't made their final decisions on it yet, and we didn't get it approved by Judy Cook. I knew it was coming, but we didn't have a price on it because we didn't know what exactly they were going to do yet. So, no, that was not in the original bid.
How many workstations is that?
That's 9 workstations. And then Judy asked that they separate the tax office from the vehicle registration. And in doing that, we basically end up with, we flipped the tax and vehicle registration offices. Same number of desks, it's just that there's 5 in one and 4 in the other. We flipped it, the offices, and doing that, that puts that office in that back corner with no limit. And they were really asking for when they're going to delete something. That is a possibility. And what I was going to say is these user changes are kind of open for discussion of whether you want to do them or not. There's the things that they've requested that I would agree that, you know, they probably need to do, but that's not my decision, it's y'all's. The things at the top are really gotta have to be done if you're gonna continue with the building. And then the last thing on the user changes was the addition of a half wall in the voter registration area. Leonard had asked that maybe they separate that. They didn't like the way that people, when they first come in, you go into a desk and you sign up, and then you go into another desk to do something else. And people were getting confused, and he asked for an addition of a half wall there. Again, that room was also pegged to be a community room. So the addition of the half wall kind of disturbs that use for other people other than the election. I would suggest on that one, put it on here because it was requested. I would suggest that maybe there's a temporary wall or a mobile thing that they could use during election and keep that room more available for public use, because it does have an exterior door that can be available that somebody wanted a public room to use. That room won't be used except during election time. So that's what the original concept was, is that little room. So if we deleted anything, I would start with that. But again, I don't have the power to delete or approve any of this stuff. I'm just presenting what was presented to me. In negotiations with, before I can get
Will you go back to that separation of the tax office and vehicle registration office? What kind of a separation are we talking about? A solid wall with a door in it?
No, just a solid wall with an opening. That's what they asked for. And
What do you mean by precludes a window in the tax office?
there's a window on the east side and 2 windows on the south side. The way the walls fall in with that, there would be no windows in that back office where those ladies are. Now, there would be a window on the front side where the public comes in to register, but they'd asked that we could possibly put a window.
Window where? In the northwest
It'd be
corner?
on the east side on the north end. It'd be facing Madison. There are 2 windows, or 3 windows that face Madison. On the south half of the building, there are 2 windows that are in offices. On the north half of the building, there's a window, and then there's not a window. It's where they had, Senator Ratliff, when he had that built, actually was a safe room, and so there's no window put there that would have matched the other window. So while there are 4 windows, would have been space for 4 windows on the east side, there's only 3 because they had a safe room. That was another thing that we found that I didn't even put on here, is that it was actually a safe room, concrete block bit on there. We didn't know it was concrete block wall that we took out too.
So they either want a window or a door on that northeast wall?
It'd be the north side of the east wall.
North
Yes, sir.
side of the east wall. Well, is this a price for a door or a window?
Yes,
Either one?
it's either
Take your
one.
pick.
It'll actually be less if it's a window, but what's in here right now is a price for the door.
I thought they had specifically requested a door as a safety issue.
They did the door, and they said a window would be fine. Their primary reason for having anything there was to get light in there. So the alternatives are either a window or a door. Door would also provide an extra access that's not required by code, but actually could be put in there. There is a potential that the door we're looking at may have some problems because there's some grade differences on the outside where the sidewalk actually goes up. We can solve it, but a window would solve it a lot easier and not have enough.
Still meets fire code, no problem.
Yeah, that's not a problem. You gotta have 100 feet of direct access out from any point in the building to meet the fire code. The building's only 66 feet long, so there's no way you can be in the building and be more than 100 feet from an exit. In an effort to try to keep the cost down, we also looked at some cost trade-offs, and these have already been discussed with Judy Cook. One was eliminating the restroom expansion. That saves about $4,000. We were going to go through and add another stall to the restroom. After discussions with the folks over there, they were okay with having one staff restroom with a coded entry, and then the other one be a unisex for the public that's over there. So that way we reuse the existing restrooms exactly like they are. That saved $4,000. Reusing the break room cabinet and countertop, it's in fair to good condition and can be reused, and it's in its existing location. So not having to replace it is another savings of $1,500. So what the bottom line on all of that is the additions minus the cost reductions is $32,127 if we don't make any other changes. Like I say, if you want to delete some of the other stuff, then we'll recalculate what that number is.
3,200, not 32,000.
32,000.
Oh, that's the total going to be.
Everything is 32,127. And an additional 30 days of construction time.
Wow. And these would all be done, these are all Richard's bid prices.
They're Richard's bid prices, and I've had them reconfirmed and rechecked. We've gone over them 2 times already and negotiated them down. And the number was higher than this, and we've got them down to these numbers, which I think are reasonable. It's unfortunate, but like I say, we didn't know any of the stuff going in because we don't have any existing drawings, and the building's actually built a foot too low too, but that's another issue, and we've got it solved too. It's the joists are right at 9 feet, so you got no room to do anything upstairs above the ceiling, but we figured that out.
How are you dealing with the location of those support poles?
We're just boxing in around them. They turned out, when we did the swap of the tax and vehicle registration, that column falls right in the wall. So it'll just be framed into that wall, and it's not a problem at all. So we're just boxing in around those columns, so we're not touching anything. They're a foot away from where we had the wall going in.
Well, I'd like to see you put a window there on that east wall instead of a door.
Okay, that'll cut that cost in half.
In half?
Okay.
At 38 down to
The
half?
window is, because we don't have to deal with the grade change at the bottom, the window's at about 1,800, I think, or 1,900 is what he said. So it's half of that.
I'd like to see you eliminate that half wall in the voter registration area. We'll just use a movable partition for the little time that we need it there.
Okay.
And spoil that room's full use.
You could buy those walls that fold up and put up and then
Yeah.
remove it after the election. It's basically there for the election, ain't it?
Correct.
What does your cost come to, Chris?
It should get you down to shade under 30,000.
Yeah.
$2,300.
Right. I've got 29,807, but I reserved that to, it'll probably be a little less than that. Let me recalculate everything here.
$1,000 doors, golly, I'd like to find something better than that. What does a cheap door cost? 400?
Not installed.
What's a cheap door installed cost?
Cheap door is in hollow core, or cheap door is in solid core.
Cheap door is in hollow core. Just so I can have a comparison between
$500-600 installed with hardware and everything.
So about a $400 difference between a good solid core door and a cheap door.
What is going?
Hardware is different. I mean, because it's got a heavier door.
Who's going in and out there? Who's going to be using it?
In this particular case, on this side, it's the elections administration. So it's the election administration folks.
The door through the main hall, because of the public walking in the building and going into voter registration, is that door going to be a glass, solid glass door?
From the inside of the hallway? No, it's a wood door. It's a wood door with a glass panel in it, like we've done in the building.
Which door are you asking about?
Well, like right now, if you go into auto registration or the other, those doors are solid glass doors. You can see
Yeah.
into those offices. I was asking when you walk down the hallway between the two sets of offices, and you go into those offices, are those doors going to be solid glass where you can see into the offices, or are they going to be wood?
glass paneling.
Like across the road over there?
Exactly, with a clear glass paneling, not frosted glass.
What is the material of the wall that separates the hallway from those vestibules, waiting areas in each of those two offices?
It's a chipboard wall with oak trim that matches the oak doors.
So you can't
And glass.
see those women from the hall?
No, you can't. It's got glass in it, just like they've got right now.
Just at the door or down the hallway?
Down the whole hallway.
Okay.
So it's got glass all the way from waist height up. It's got a wainscot that's solid wall. Unlike what they've got right now, it's glass all the way floor to ceiling right now. It'll be a wainscot and then glass on the top half, in the doors and the wall, for both of them.
Okay. Judy, quick question.
Yeah, I'm real confused in fact that Leonard's asking for a wall, and you're saying it would mess up the flow room for a community room. When is that ever used for a community room?
It's
Never
not
has
there
been.
Today,
So why are we worrying about the flow of a community room when it's not used for?
because it was asked for in the design, that be a consideration, that room be having more utility than just the 2 days a year that she's proposing. That it was county space, that was usable, had an exterior door, and could have access to the community and meeting room to meet. It was a community room to meet. So that was in the original design to ask for that.
Yeah, I'll reserve the decision on that when I see a little bit better what the rationale is behind that. Just seems like for the time that it'll be used and that's needed, that a movable partition could be used. But again, we've got to buy movable partitions. May cost us the same amount of money. I just like to see what it will do to that room. So let's reserve a decision on that. Not necessarily negate it, but that's a possible option for saving some money and saving the size of that room.
And answer this question, what we're looking at, you have the election administration office on one side and the license plate office on the other side, and then the tax assessor collector on that same side. But this room will be used by all those people to eat lunch or these type things,
No, there's a break room.
or break room.
There's a adjacent break room right next to it.
Okay, and it can be used for the community.
This is the southwest corner, correct?
Correct. Southwest corner
Okay.
where there's a door.
Where you have a door to the exterior, so you
Correct.
could have a community room there that has no access to the rest of the building.
That's correct. And the way it's designed, they could also have access to the break room and the bathrooms if you wanted to, but because the rest of the hallway is closed off. So you could get in and use everything here with a community room, bathrooms, and a break room in that southwest corner.
That's the door you go in now, the door you go.
Yeah.
Correct.
I was looking at the plan, I remember looking at on the southeast side, the break room. What we was talking about.
I would recommend deleting the 420 for the half wall and solving it with a temporary wall because, like I said, it's just used for a couple of days. And, it's probably a less expensive solution also.
Well, let us maybe go over there and take a look at that
Okay.
and visit with Leonard about that before we make an absolute decision one way or another.
Okay.
We'll probably have to get on that pretty quickly. Let's maybe leave the dollars in there, but have the flexibility to cancel that. But I think we need to make that decision pretty quick. And maybe if we just sit down and look at the plans, I'd suggest you go over there and walk through it, and get Chris to show you what this, how big is that room, that community room? 20 by 15?
It is 21 by, find the right dimension here. About 21 by 18.
Okay, it's bigger than I thought. And how big would that wall be?
It'd be about a 10-foot wall, 5 to 6 foot high with a wood cap on top of it, is what was laid out there.
So it completely blows it for use for a full-size room.
Exactly.
And it's a half wall, it's not a privacy wall.
It's just
separate-
basically to block people from walking to the wrong tables first, is what Leonard was looking for, and he'd asked for that wall. Personally, haven't talked with Leonard about it, I think a temporary wall would be a solution.
or stanchions or something?
They're just stanchions.
Okay.
If that wall is taken out and we go with the window instead of the door, that reduces the price down to $29,528.
All right, here's your chance to ask a question. That's a big chunk of money that we weren't expecting. So the restrooms essentially stay untouched?
They'll get a new ceiling in them, but only because we have to take it out to redo the
They get new
ductwork.
floor too?
No, the floor is actually in good condition.
Is it tile or?
It is tile.
It is tile.
I make a motion that we do these corrections at the Ratliff Building with the exceptions that we've talked about and go with the $29,528.
Okay, so to clarify, we eliminate the half wall and voter registration, and we eliminate the door in lieu of a window on the north portion of the east wall.
Correct.
And is that the only change? All right, got a motion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor of approving these changes to the Ratliff remodel at a total cost of $29,528, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Chris, thank you. You think we've got all the surprises covered?
I think so. Like I said, we've got everything down out there, and I'd love to go there and look. It's kind of like when we did the demolition on the adult probation. It's a big building. It's just really low. When you get in there, you'll see that. But it's going to be a nice renovation.
Yeah, there's a lot of room in there with all that stuff out of there. It's a
There is.
big building.
And just for the record, too, we are talking about 30 days more, too. I don't know if that was in the motion, but he had requested another 30 days to do this stuff. He's going to do this extra work. So.
You gonna be able to take care of this within the extra 30 days?
Yes. Yes.
Well, remember, we're not counting on this location for early voting. We've already
Right, I
made
understand
adjustments
that.
for that. Glad we did.
Let me I wanted to mention this too. We bought this building back in the 90s. And we bought it because we knew we were growing as a county. And we were trying to keep everything downtown. The original plan was to build and this was back in the early 80s, was to build a new courthouse on the interstate. When I found that out, we were not for it. You're looking at about $12 million to build a new courthouse. We bought that building and the property over there for about $200,000. That $200,000 was basically paid off. The building ended up costing the county virtually very little or nothing, because Senator Ratliff rented the building for over 7 years from us, and the state paid us rent on that. And because we knew at some point in time we were going to need more space. And so over the years, that building and land was basically paid for. And we're putting 2 elected officials' offices over there. And, we need to, we want to be thrifty, but at the same time, we want to build a nice facility over there for the people that's going to be working in there. It's not marble or anything like that, but it does, I think it'll be a nice building when it's finished. That's all I have, Judge.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 10, discuss and possibly take action on the preparation of plat and subdivision regulations. Here we are back again talking about this, and Judy, it's been a month. Which of you ladies would like to speak first? I know Diane has asked to speak about this one, but Judy, since we were kind of playing point with you, I'll let you go first.
Well, I've got 5 realtors working on it, 2 developers. I've been in touch with Aaron Gant with Tri-Special Utilities to find out the changes he needs to make for the water company there, and with Justin at Conley Surveying to find out what things it's requiring from surveyors that need to be changed. So we're working on it. I mean, we said a month in the beginning, but then I stopped because I thought we were, Chris was going to take it over. So we're just now getting revved up again, but we're making progress on it.
Go over who again's work you said that you had working on it, 2 and 5 what?
5 realtors and 2 developers in the area. And then Aaron made some, changes that they would have to, that they demand on things that needed to be changed. And then I've got some surveying things I'm still trying to work out. It tells you exactly everything you have to have, so I need to make sure that that's exactly what the people around here are doing and using, so that we're not adding expenses that don't need to be added and making the surveyors do things they don't normally do.
What is it that tells you what you have to have in there, that existing document?
Yes, that's what we're working with, their existing document. We just figured that if we're wanting the state's approval to start with what they showed us that was what like they wanted, so that's what we're working with. We're tearing it apart piece by piece, taking out things that that aren't going to work for us, and changing the numbers on things the way we do things here.
Would you anticipate adding anything to it that's not already there?
We've added some definitions so far. I don't have it in front of me, but what a subdivision is, because it never defines that, and that's part of the problems. I mean, if you had 100 acres and you wanted to give to each of your 4 kids 5 acres or something, they're going to call that a subdivision. So we're defining what a subdivision is and adding some things like that.
Okay. Timeline, any idea when we should?
Walt said no hurry, so I mean, I'm not pushing them. These are all people that are working. We're all trying to pull it together. I would think, another month at the most.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Diane?
Thank y'all for letting me talk this morning, and I am hoarse because I'm being crazy. I am working on that committee that Judy just spoke about, and after going through what the county already has in place, I feel like it's not bad. It's really not, but it's not defined. And it's
You're talking about that document you're working from, which we don't have that in place.
I know, but we thought we did.
Okay.
When we got it, we thought because it said that we did.
Okay.
So there was a lot of things in that we knew that needed to be changed, and not just that, just the definition and just some things to clarify. But there's so much more to it than that. What I want to talk to you about, though, is not just what we're working on, some things maybe for the future. The thing that we had that was not agreed upon, but it was something that should go by, does not really reflect where we are in 2015, and it certainly doesn't reflect where we're going to be in 10, 15, 20 years from now. And I'm expecting Titus County just to continue to grow, and I know that right now it's not actually seeing that we're having the kind of growth, and you've heard us talk about the loop today, and I think most of Titus County has been talking about the loop. We're not in any position right now to, and I've got things for sale, I've got people that have contacted me about selling property. We're not in a position right now to go in there and promise anything that's out there at the loop, because we don't have the utilities in place and the water and the things that we're going to need to offer to people that want to buy property on the loop so that they can build a business and help us with the employment in Titus County. The Commissioners Court, I know, is really busy. I know that you guys are, and I can just attend a Commissioners Court meeting and hear all the things that you guys have to deal with on a daily basis. I know you've all got your job, you've got family, you're involved in other things like we are too. And I know that there's a lot of regulations and things that need to be, provisions that need to be in place in the documents that that Judy and all of us are trying to work on. I know that every subdivision that I pulled, and I pulled a big stack of them, they've all got their covenants, they've got their restrictions, but they're all different. And the reason that they're all different is because some of them are out in the county, some of them are in the city, some people have things in place, some of the other stuff doesn't have anything in place. And it's not all wrong. There's not anything that's just all wrong with any of them. But it doesn't go far enough. And we talked about this when we had our very first meeting, about needing things like lot sizes and adjoining property or homes or structures and the sizes and things that we're looking for that's going to make Mount Pleasant, Titus County special. It's going to be something that where people want to move to. They want to put in subdivisions. And I know when I hear Lanny was talking a while ago about that, you know, we had a decrease in our homes. We don't have a lot of new construction that's going up. And we want to make sure that what we do have in the future is going to be something that's going to have our tax base continue to go up and have more people moving into Titus County as we do have businesses that grow. Another thing that I think that we're lacking in is some things about our water planning. I know my daddy, Eugene Murray, actually started with a ditch witch and laying water lines years ago because our well went dry out there at Green Hill, and we needed some water. And so it started out really small, and you see what it's grown to today. But I know that after doing some research that there's some things that the state has that they could put in place for us if we just had a plan for that. And if we're going to have the subdivisions and the growth that we need out there in the county, each of you commissioners, you're aware of what's there and what's not there, and the cost probably of the involvement of having water brought to some of those places. And so I just want us to be aware of that, and that's some of the things that I put in place that I haven't even sent to Judy yet. But I know that water is something that we're all talking about, not just in our own city, in our own county, but it's a statewide issue. And we want to be very careful that we make sure that Titus County has enough water from Tri-Special Utility District, and it's going to be in place that we'll have that for our future growth. And I'm absolutely thrilled with what's happened over the last, say, 25 or 30 years with Tri-Special Utility District. I believe the county would be well served, though, if we had one place that everybody could go to. One place that you don't, when you're starting out and you're having to go and you're getting a survey done for your plat. And I know from example, my own thing, when I put a subdivision out north of town in years ago, that I didn't know where to go, what to do. I knew that I had 40 acres I could develop, and I knew I wanted them all in at least 1 acre tracts. And I didn't consider the cost of water and where the water was located and what it was going to cost for us to bring it down there and put the meters in. I didn't know all that. We need a place to go to because a lot of people don't know anything about Tri-Special Utility District. What about, our electric and where the electricity is coming from? Is that going to be wood cast? Where is it? I mean, how far away is it? What's it going to take to bring it? Is it going to be underground or is it going to be above ground? Those are things that we're dealing with as we go along right now. And what are those requirements going to be for Titus County? One of the things I thought about is education comes in a lot of different forms. And education is mainly 2 forms. It's written or it's experienced. And you guys know as well as I do that it's a little bit easier if you know it beforehand than having to find out later what that experience is going to bring you. Because it sure can cost you a lot of extra money, just as we've seen with the loop and what we're doing with the things that Titus County is doing. As commissioners, I know that you can answer a lot of developers' questions if you're asked, and I know that you have at times. And I know that there's a lot of research that's going to go into it for you guys to know what's there and what's available and what's in place today. And I'm happy to be a part of this committee that's working on it and to suggest some changes that might help and to say, yeah, let's way to go on some of the others that are already there. But I'm a realtor. I'm an owner of Century 21 Landmark. When people come in to talk to me about buying or selling a home or a piece of land, then I don't always have the resources that I need. And then I have to go sometimes to 4 or 5 different places to get the information for those clients. And that's one more reason that I feel like we need a position in Mount Pleasant, Titus County, that has one place that somebody can go to and get the information that they need for the next subdivision or the next development of a piece of land, and knowing what's already there, and maybe somebody else already has an idea. They're going to put a mobile home park next to where you're wanting a single-family home, or you're wanting to put 4 or 5 homes on. That, do we call that a subdivision, or is that just a family plot? I mean, we don't have that in place right now. And as realtors go forward, and we give our opinions to people that come to us, and we do our best to give them knowledge that we know to be right. We just don't pull this stuff out of our hats. We have to know some things too. Many times, and I was asked this question by someone this morning when I came in about a certain subdivision, and did we have any information about it? Were there some restrictions out there? Our title companies have been to where when we go to get a title commitment, it's going to have on there if it's got a recorded subdivision. And we can go to, as on our title policy, a volume and a page number to be able to go to. And the majority of the people, I mean, Judy would back me up on that, the majority of our buyers, maybe they were told that there is something, and maybe we can't find it, it wasn't recorded. So sometimes we don't know what's out there. Another reason why we need one place that you can go to, that somebody's going to be able to get that information, is knowledgeable about it. Somebody to be able to report to the court about the changes in the planning stages that something's in. An office of, say, for instance, a planner or an engineer. I know that in the documents that we already have, it talks about an engineer, and I'm like, what kind of an engineer are you going to need? Have a cousin in Tyler that put in a subdivision, and between the planner and an engineer, it cost her over $25,000 just to get the information that she needed to go forward with that. So I'm just thinking that I'd like for you guys to consider having another office that would be a paid position where people would go forward on. We're not going to stop working on the things that we're working on this committee, and we're going to be bringing that back. And I'm just asking you today to consider that, because what a help that would be to the commissioners, so that you're knowledgeable whenever somebody comes in and talks to you about it. Or you would have, you know, let's just say Philip Hinton has somebody out there wanting to put a subdivision in, and Philip says, oh yeah, that's 40 acres out there, I think you can get that done. And then come to find out later you can't get that done. So it would help you in what you do in Titus County. And I know that would be something that'd be a paid position that I'm thinking it could be. But I think it would really mean a lot to Titus County. And that's really what I was wanting to tell you, is that we're working hard and diligently on getting something in place. But once that's in place, that's not where it's going to have to stay. Just as I've heard today in the Commissioner's Court about changes that have to be made and the cost that it's going to be to do that. I believe if we had an office that had someone in place that could show someone what they have to do from start to finish that would comply with what Titus County wants, I believe it would be a great thing for you and for Titus County and Mount Pleasant. Because you know as well as I do that at some point in time all this is going to take off. I expect real estate, I've had the last 2 years, been 2 of the best years I've had. So it's not that we don't have things in place, but we just don't have the new things going on. And with what I expect to be happening in the future, I certainly believe Titus County is going to be in a position that we're going to need that extra help. So I'd just like for you guys to consider that. It's just FYI what I think, but I wanted to speak to it because we're in that position now. Thank y'all for hearing me.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
So Diana, you don't envision a document that would serve this purpose. You think you need somebody that's knowledgeable enough about what's in that document and could go and take a look with the landowner and make development decisions. I mean, I've never even thought about a situation like that. How have we done without it thus far?
I know that there are other cities, and maybe not just in Texas, but in other places, that actually have those kind of things in place. Now, I'm not saying that we as realtors and as the surveyors and whoever else Judy's got involved in this, I'm not saying that we're not knowledgeable about things, because we are. We wouldn't be successful at what we do if we weren't. But knowledge really, it's easier to come by the knowledge ahead of time than it is to wait to go through that experience and then see what's happened. We can see that already on the loop. We didn't envision any of these problems when we started. We thought everything was just going to go fine. We had a situation, I'll give you an example. We had a situation in our own company several years ago where there was a person in Mount Pleasant who bought a piece of land and divided it into, I believe, about 5-acre sections, and there were restrictions on it. And we had one of our agents to sell a piece of property and didn't have a copy of the restrictions. It was supposed to be a stick-built home. The mobile home was put out there. The restrictions were not looked at, and afterwards knew that there was some problems. Somebody else came to us and said, hey, there's a problem out there. And ended up having to have that moved off. They had paid for water, they had paid for sewer. Those things could have been handled ahead of time had we have had somebody that they knew to go to, rather than taking a realtor's word for it that wasn't knowledgeable, not having anything else until we go and get a copy of those restrictions, and then see dry water was involved, the cast was involved, they owed for a big old double-wide mobile home. That's the kind of things I'm talking about, Judge Lee. It's the fact that it's something that we would have someone to go back to that could help guide everybody in that process. It could certainly take a load off each one of you commissioners so that you would know it's being done properly, and you don't have it to come back to you a long time later and say, hey, this is just not what we needed to do. And I just really believe that it's something that we could do. And I don't know whether to call it a planning office, a county office, an engineer's office. I don't know what that would entail. But I do.
Like a code enforcement officer on a county level or something like that.
Right. And you know, when you have so many different titles, an enforcement officer, somebody with water, somebody with the utilities, somebody out here doing something else, you've got a lot of things that's real fragmented. And I just think going forward with the growth that each one of you are going to see in your area, that we need one place so it doesn't always come back to you for somebody to call you commissioners up and say, hey, this is what's going on. Because sometimes, you know, there's a lot of other people that are involved. So I just like for each of you to think about that. And again, I can't tell you what to call it, but I believe we do need that. I think we need a paid position that would be under the county where people could go and get answers without having to be so fragmented and going to so many different areas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your ideas. Okay, well, you've heard from Judy what she's looking at here as far as time frame. Sounds like we ought to give her at least another month.
Judge, I don't have a problem with giving her all the time she wants to, and I know Walt, if you call Walt Sears, he'll help you. Any got any direct questions you need to ask, he will help you. I talked to him last week, and he'll do whatever he needs to help this group. And I really like the way it's being done.
Okay. All right, well, we've got an action item on here. Table this again.
I'll make a motion we table this.
Second.
At least a
A month from now,
Month from now.
9th of March. Motion by Commissioner Fields, second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor of tabling this matter until March 9th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you again, Judy and Diana. Item number 11, consider and possibly approve the disposal or sale of the old seats in the district courtroom that are being replaced with new seating. You recall we approved the expenditure of about $10,000 to get new gallery seating there in the district courtroom. Come to find out, they're looking to us to remove those seats. I didn't realize that. They are scheduled to be here Thursday, the 12th, 3 days from now. And they will be glad to make that removal a part of their job at $40 a seat. Seems like about $2,000 worth of, or was it more than that? 40 seats? No, it might have been more than that. $40 a seat, and I can't remember if there's 35 seats, something like that. But what I'm asking you guys is, do you see enough value in those chairs over there to attempt to get some dollars out of them? Are you content with yanking them out and throwing them in the dumpster? And then if either of those cases, we've got to do something quickly before Thursday. We've either got to trash them immediately or store them until we can find somebody that would be willing to buy that kind of seating. And then who's going to provide the manpower, or do we just need to pay for that to be moved, removed, stored, or removed and trashed? That's the problem.
The 12th.
12th, 3 days from now.
3 days from now.
Do we even have a place to store?
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Ken Wilson mentioned something about possibly storing them at the jail. My experience in storing stuff that I know is worn out and hoping that I'm going to make some money off of it, it doesn't usually pan out. My personal opinion, trash it as quickly as you can get it to the dump.
Drug out, trash it.
But if you guys see some value there,
I don't, Judge, I don't think you're going to have a market out there for those old chairs, and some of that stuff is broke. The metal parts and stuff like this. You know, you store it, we store it down at the jail in the basement down there, it's going to mildew, and we're going to end up hauling it off anyway. You know, we can tear them out, and if we can't think of anything to do with them, we can take them. If nobody seems interested in it, you might want to look at that, but to me, I think they just need to go to the dump ground.
Sheriff,
They might be a value there.
you have any inmates down there that can tear that stuff out?
Let me, walk outside and make a phone call to Tigers.
I don't know if it's just busting some bolts or if it's
Or what it's going to take?
welding, but we don't want to tear up that carpet in
No, we
there.
don't
It's the
want-
problem.
But I would want to store down there in our basement, because like you said, it's.
Well, we can get them took out. I mean, we can haul them off.
So, Bob, you guys, do some stuff, make a phone call back. Find out.
Tim, you might walk across the street and see what we're going to be doing, getting them out. It's just undoing those bolts or.
Yeah, it should be them, we'll do the boats, that's all.
Yeah, they're just bolted to the floor. It should be just unbolted.
Just unbolted.
Tote them out.
And then removing the bolts without tearing up the
We
carpet.
can bring that old trailer mine from out in the country barn and just set it back there and then just set it on top of it, and then we can haul them off whenever they get through.
Yeah.
Well, is that a job you want to trust inmates to handle, or do we need some oversight provided?
Well,
Well, they're going to have an armed guard with us.
We can send,
Well, I'm talking about, how do you physically remind them? In other
Make
words, these
sure
guys may not know
everything-
anything about it.
I think Tim's going to walk over there and see if it's just a boat. We undo the boat and
Okay.
they lift them up. And I'm going to say that's what they've got is a boat.
one of us could send a guy up here.
Sir?
One of us could send a guy up
Yes,
here in the morning, 4 hours, they could get it done, a couple of guys. If
If
he
it's
didn't
just
use
boat, it
prisoners.
shouldn't take long.
Yeah, I don't think the removal process will be that big of a deal. I'm more concerned with your thoughts on disposal. Anybody think we ought to try to get some money out of these versus taking them to the dump?
when were they? 30,
You know-
25 years old?
That's like one time we had a trailer load of computers. And we put all those things on there and we put them in the sale. When we got there, we got $5 for a trailer load of computers,
Well,
old
if y'all
computers.
recall, about a year and a half ago, emptying out that annex, and
Yeah.
how many loads you made to the dump, I'd hate for this to be the same thing. Now, if I had a realistic idea of who might want to buy those, does
Well, people are
PTP
building-
need any chairs for your office? We'll deliver them.
All the way to
Well, the problem is, we've already admitted that they're a hazard, that they're not a safe
I wouldn't
set of
want
chairs.
They got a bunch of them blocked off where you can't use them at all.
Right, there's something wrong, but there's something on. Are you replacing all of them?
Yeah.
So some of them might be good, I mean, at JP Court, Franklin County.
Well-
I think we got something that want to start on today, that we're going over, see what we got to do, and make sure we're not having something in the courtroom.
Yeah,
We can start it over.
that'd be great. All right, thank you.
They'd fit good in a theater room. We could make a theater room.
Judge, we can put them on that trailer, pull them out there, put them under the shed. We want to decide next time what to do with them, be fine, but we got to get them out.
Check around.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a motion that we dispose of the old seats in the district courtroom and that we get them removed within the next 72 hours, the most efficient way possible, using our own resources and that of jail personnel.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor of that plan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll wait and hear back from the sheriff, see what he might can do for our plan here. Item number 12, consider and possibly approve purchase of a cab and chassis for the Cookeville Volunteer Fire Department. We tabled that at the last meeting. Jimmy, you had wanted to check and see about where they were going to get their bids from, if they were going to use the state pricing, or if they wanted to find some local pricing, and then be sure that Cookeville was ready for that truck.
Yes, sir, Judge. And I met with Mike on two different occasions. He went to our local dealerships and got bids on it. The bid that he got from Elliott Ford actually beat the state bid by 300 and, what was it, Mike? $210 or $15
For the same truck?
for the same truck.
Okay.
What I did, I give him the one that Chief McRae had got from the bid buy, and he took it up there and they went from it. So they actually beat them. And they are ready for the truck. They are ready to go whenever we give them the approval. So,
Okay.
and I'll make that motion to go ahead and allow Cookeville Volunteer Fire Department to purchase the cab and chassis at the bid that was supplied to them.
We already know that we can take the bid buy price without going any further. So if you can beat that, I'm okay with that. As long as you guys are sure it's a comparable truck, then that's great. Love to give the business to these guys, but I imagine they've pretty well cut any profit out of that. So we may owe a thank you to Elliott.
I'm going to make that a second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Parker and second by Commissioner Hinton to go ahead and purchase the cab and chassis that we have budgeted that is due to go to the Cookeville Department at the Elliott Auto Group price, or the state bid price, whichever is lower. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. All right, item number 13, consider and possibly approve the transfer of the remaining capitalized interest balance, $1,332,562, maybe some pennies, along with $920,000 from our general fund to put those two amounts into our interest and sinking fund, so that along with other sources of revenue that we have set aside, or the funds that we have coming in from TxDOT here within the next couple of weeks, we are able to meet that $7.9 million bond payment. which we will have to actually send off prior to March 1. We want it in their hands before March 1. Just to give you an idea of how much money we've got coming in from the state, and again, these are calculated on the per vehicle mile method. Back 6 months ago on 2348, we received $320,000. We are due to receive, now that it's 6 months later, and the next per vehicle mile calculation on 2348 for a full 6-month period is $360,000. We have some monies coming because TxDOT Atlanta has done us a favor and is rushing this payment on US 271. Unfortunately, it is only going to be a prorated amount based on 17 days out of a 6-month period, and that ends up being $247,000. So the two of those, $360,000 plus $240,000 is what we will be getting instead of our $4.2 million that we had hoped we would be scheduled out for at this time. And so Carl has squeezed it every way he can figure it, and he believes $920,000 from the general fund will enable us to add to all those capitalized interest balances. And again, that was additional monies that was borrowed in the bonds that was planned on for use to pay bond payments. So borrowed a little bit more to make your first few bond payments. We've already chipped through some of that. We have $1.3 million left.
Judge, I would like to say on this $920,000 that the county's paying, at the overall big picture at the end, we're still going to get that $920,000. It's not like we're paying it now and we'll never see that part. It will come in. And
That's
it may
right.
be
It's postponing and causing a timing difference
That's
on
right.
our receipt of that $168,000. We receive no less money. It's just going to be received out 20 years from now, and unfortunately it keeps us from being able to pay the bonds back quite as quickly. We'll certainly hope that we get to receive more than the $4.2 million every 6 months if our traffic counts are running ahead. And I will say that the traffic counts are actually running a bit ahead from my calculation on 2348. Let's hope that the same occurs on 271.
Judge, I can tell you right now, they are picking up tremendously. It's double what it was a month ago. There's
All right.
just a lot
So
more traffic on 270.
There's what we need to do to be prepared for this bond payment.
I make a motion we approve the
Payment. Transfer.
Two transfers, one from capitalized interest, one from general fund. All right, got a motion by Commissioner Riddle,
I second.
second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of making these two transfers in anticipation of our March 1 bond payments, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 14, consider and possibly approve a payment to Mr. Don Stanley for claims related to loop construction damage. And this subject was brought up 2 weeks ago, and I understand we've got Mr. Stanley in the audience today. Mr. Stanley, if you'll come on up to the podium, I just wanted the guys, rather than approving a bill you had submitted or considering a bill you had submitted, don't want to jump to conclusion, but we ought to hear it from you rather than just somebody bringing a bill from you. So take a couple of minutes and kind of describe to us what's included in that bill. And I recall it was like $1,500, maybe $1,550.
Fence out 1735. Right at the end of what new construction is. They get a pile of dirt up and falling off, and then when they breaking wire, and then when they cleaned it up and hauled it back home, the equipment broke wire, hauled it down. It's just a short strip. This happened last March. Well, all summer, they didn't do anything. They stretched two wires up and took some survey stakes and switched all that, put the fence back. Well, then, the end of December, I heard a hand. We cut timber off, rebuilt the fence. I was out, probably $110 mowing material, maybe $120. Wire and post. 400 or something labor. And then I stuck, because I hadn't used pasture all summer, I stuck $1,000 lost grazing on the ticket. It comes to $1,550. And after hearing all the trouble y'all got, I hate to ask you for it, but if y'all could collect it from that contractor, I'd be grateful.
Well, we won't probably collect it from him. What's the status of that fence right now? Have they done any additional repair work to what you've done?
As far as I know, they went out last week, I think. A few T-posts in that they snagged out here and there around. But the fence, that was on the new fence that y'all set back. They replaced a few posts last week. But the fence I'm talking about is where the new fence stopped and the old fence originated on the end. Now why they didn't widen all that at the same time and have enough room to work, I don't know. But it just bottlenecks down. And when they went to work in their ditches, they just got a pile of dirt 6, 8 foot way above the fence and just broke it in several places, all up through the woods, a tree, and we had to cut all that out by hand to fix it. And I still got brush out there. When it gets dry enough, I'll have to pile that up, burn it, clean up the roots.
When that first happened back in March, did you contact any of those guys and say, hey, I can't use my pasture here, I need the fence fixed?
I don't know who I talked to, one hand working out there.
I'm sorry, I've only got one gentleman here that's asked to speak.
I talked to him on the hand, said, you know, I need the fence fixed. And then in December, before I went in and took it over myself, I talked to the guy running the dozer. He said, well, so-and-so down the road here, you can catch him. Said he should have done it, fixed it, he had enough time. Well, I went down and hunted the other guy, and I never did find him. And that was all there, so I just took it on my own and fixed it.
When did you actually end up fixing it later on in the year? Was it last year?
I finished it in the end. It was after Christmas of 14.
Could you have fixed it earlier and had access to your pasture?
Well, I could have, but they still working out there and they just keep it tearing down stuff again. So I waited until they got cleaned up kind of down there. And boy, they wouldn't be breaking some more stuff as fast as fix it.
Okay.
Judge, I know for a fact, I think it was August, but no later in September, they were told about this fence, and they were told that he was not able to utilize that place because the fence was down. And what they did, they were cleaning out the ditches and building the base up on the main road and finally getting asphalt and all this on. But he did not have the access to this property, and the dirt and stuff had tore the fences and all that stuff down. They were told to get that fixed or put a temporary fence or something up as soon as possible. I know that was in September, maybe August, but September. And then October they were told again. In November they were told again. In December they were told again to get that fence up, because I know Commissioner Hockaday had talked to them about it, and I know they were told by Bobby. Bobby made it very clear to get that fence up, to get it fixed, get these people help down there. And as far as I know, you fixed the fence.
If we take care of Mr. Stanley's bill that he's asking for, are we treating him consistently with how we've treated other landowners that have had not similar situations? You know, they've been all over the board. Folks that have complaints as to how they have been hurt by construction on this loop. And I'd love to pay every one of them every dime they're asking for, plus a little to boot. But we're not able to do that. Are we treating Mr. Stanley, if we do this, consistently with how we've done others?
I think any time that and it's a county project, it's our project, and this was done, I think he was more than patient in getting this done, and finally he had to end up doing it himself. But I know for a fact they were told 3 or 4 times, had we told them and they went and got it fixed, we wouldn't have this problem. So I think it, yes, I do. I think we'd be, anybody else did this, I think we would address it the same way.
All right, what would you like to do for Mr. Stanley? He's presented us with a bill, $1,550, which was labor and materials of $550 and $1,000 for loss of grazing. I sure don't have any problem with the labor and materials. I'm a bit uneasy about the loss of grazing, but that's just me. I'm not saying I'm...
How many acres did you have? 70. If you did $10 or if you did 15, it'd go over 1,000 an acre.
Is it all,
For rent.
is it all pasture?
I baled, I had to go in there and shred it and then cut it. If I didn't, the materials were tall, it wouldn't go through the rate, you know. But I did bale the whole thing this year. But no, take it back. It's probably 10 acres I didn't bale on the other part, but I probably baled close to 60 acres of it.
All right, what's your pleasure?
Make a motion that we refund for the $1,550 for the damage that's created, and we pay that.
Got a motion by Commissioner Fields to pay the entire amount requested, $1,550.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We appreciate you taking your time to come up here today. We sincerely apologize for this, and unfortunately it's one of those things that happens during construction, and I'm sorry you were the target of that.
I appreciate all of y'all.
Nobody did it intentionally, and but you've heard some of our problems. We hope you're back in action now.
Well, I hate to come up here hearing all those other problems.
Hey, Judge, I'm gonna go into the election and everything. We're gonna go and start on that. What y'all want to do? You want to trash those?
We decided to trash those and to hold you accountable for that entire job. No, we are going to trash them. Can he set them outside?
Well, we can put them out back in our parking lot, put them on 16 foot.
I don't even want you to move it that far. Let's go straight to the dump. Why don't, as they're removing them, put them out there in front? And can we make arrangements today to pick them up?
I can get that
Can you run
trailer
that
up
old
there.
trailer up there?
Yeah.
And we'll tie that stuff
On
down.
that courtroom, correct, where the next judge is on.
Yeah, let's get the right courtroom.
Yeah.
There's some loose on it, and yank it up, and I'm pulling them up, and that even, I mean, they're that loose, so it's not gonna take us.
Well, just be careful as you're getting them out, and if you have to cut some of those lengths down to get them out the door, which you may have to do, I don't know if you'll end up needing a cutting torch or...
If you want them on that front sidewalk in front of it, we'll just take that.
Well, is there a room over there where we can get a trailer parked?
Well, just in the front.
I'd put them in the front, right on the street. That's the shortest distance from that courtroom. You can't get out the back door. Just put it...
Well, I was going to send them up there with a trailer.
Maybe somebody will steal them if we leave them overnight.
About 1.
Just set them on
Dale, then we can tie him down or something.
If you can get somebody to block off those parking places out there where he can get the trailer up
Get
there.
a trailer up there. Okay.
Well, get the job over and done with. Literally, if they have to sit out there overnight and we get them first thing in the morning, that wouldn't be bad.
Okay, but we'll have that advanced on it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Call me if you need additional equipment or help or whatever. Okay. Okay, just tell Ken over there what y'all are getting ready to do. Thank you, Sheriff. All right, item number 15, consider and possibly approve the payment of $600 for cleaning of the North DPS Way Station. If you'll recall, many months ago, we had approved several $1,000 repair bill to that building, which included some new ceiling tiles and insulation there and doing some metal work on the outside of the building. After several discussions with several people, we decided to try something. Well, specifically, Mark Stansel, who does the rodent prevention over there, decided to he would take a closer look, and he assured me that there was no dead rats, there was no rat droppings in that ceiling, and he felt like it would be a waste of time to replace any insulation, which had already been replaced, or ceiling tiles. He just said, you've just got a serious lack of cleanliness problem, old rodent droppings throughout the building, and other smell of rodent feces, urine over there. We decided that we would give a shot at doing a thorough cleaning was his recommendation. And as you'll recall, I left you a note in there. I said I've got an opportunity here to get somebody who doesn't mind a nasty job to go do some cleaning. She has already done this. I have paid her out of my own funds here, hoping now that you will approve this. We will want to look at the South Way Station at some point. I don't think it's nearly as bad of a job. The guys out there in that building think she did a really good job, and they believe that the smell problem is taken care of. Let's hope that it does, and we don't have to do any other work on that building.
Make a motion, we repay the $600.
Who was it? Who did it?
Melinda Williams.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Fields, second by, was that Commissioner Parker? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item number 16, consider and possibly approve repairs to the fire alarm. I've given you a couple of pages here. This process began with repeated false alarms going off in this building. And that first page, that the one that's, it looks like an actual bid here. Problem is we've got at least 11 of our fire alarms, the actual device that hangs on the ceiling, that are old and defective and are no longer working. At least 11 of those. He's going to check every one of them, but as best he can tell, the ones that don't have flashing lights on them indicating that they're working, there are 11. So he has given, that's the first part of this problem here, is to replace 11 of the main courthouse fire alarms so that they are properly reporting and not giving off false alarms. The second part of this is while they were here doing this work, it was time for alarm inspection. And if you'll read the letter here, Advanced Alarm and Electronics recently did our annual fire alarm and inspection on your courthouse annex located 105 West 1st. We started our inspection. When we started, the control panel was in trouble with every light on. As we tried to correct the issues, we concluded that the system was beyond repair. Fire alarm control panel is about 20 years old, and the company no longer supports repair or replaceable parts. We're left with the option to replace the panel at a cost of $1,800 and then move forward with our inspection to see what else, if any other issues are in that building. Right now, they don't have any way of knowing if the other monitoring devices, such as smoke alarms, are working because the panel is not even reporting if there is a problem with one of those. If the county, here's the important sentence. If the county chooses not to repair the system, we have no choice but to red tag the system as inoperable and notify the state and local agencies. Please let me know if we need to sit down. Zach and I did sit down last week, and I knew that this was coming. He's really extended us a favor by not red tagging it. I assured him we would take action one way or another. I didn't guarantee him we would replace that panel, but we know what the repercussions are if we don't, and that is to have it red tagged, and we're going to be forced to comply, obviously. So, an old panel needing to be replaced, and then from there, we don't know what the cost will be as we see what other devices there that are transmitters that send signals back to the panel. So 2 parts there, about $880 to begin the or I'll just say $88 per device. Guess is 11 at this time here in the main courtroom, and then $1,800. And if you'd like, I'll get a firm bid before he begins his work. But nonetheless, we need to get this corrected quickly because we have no coverage over there in the annex.
Now, does this cover all the annex, the courthouse?
No, there's a separate panel. The panel for this building is downstairs, and that's the one that starts beeping and calls Ernie and the fire department. The other one, the problem is isolated within the annex. It has no, they're 2 standalone buildings.
Okay. Make a motion that we, okay.
Go ahead. You can make a motion you want to. Can we get any other bids? We're just going to take one bid? We're going
You can. This is the company and the only company that we've ever had service this. But the answer is yes, we certainly could.
I think we should get some more companies to look at it. I'd feel better.
Okay. Here you have a company that knows our system, but I'll do whatever y'all would like to do.
It's not, okay.
And I don't have a problem with that. If we get a quote, you know, we don't have to go out for bid, but we can get James to call and get 2 or 3, 4 quotes, and then if we want to get.
I just feel better.
That panel, 1,800, is at the annex. The $88 per fire alarm is here. Is here.
Okay.
Make a motion that we get quotes on this, whoever's got the best buy. Also, they have to maintain them, and just like the company that's doing, I think the company we got is going to end up probably getting it. But I make that motion that we get the panel put in there and go ahead and get the get quotes on those too.
Okay, I got a motion by Commissioner Fields.
We got to get that.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Riddle. I personally think we're delaying this project and you're not going to save much money, and so I'm going to vote nay. The rest of you, all those in favor of this motion and second, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. I will get on this and see if we can't get somebody else to give us a bid on all of this. A quote. That's right, a quote. All righty.
Judge,
Yes.
I can give you 2 names that we used out at the school out there.
Great.
If it'll help you.
Yeah, that'll definitely help me. I don't know where to begin.
They can call them, and I don't know how long it'll take them to do it. but
Okay. Yeah,
I'll
please.
give you
Yeah,
those
please
names.
do that, and I'll make those my first calls.
Judge, if you can, just let them know that it's urgent and we need to get this done real quick.
Oh, I will. And I'm going to ask him how this decision affects him not red tagging us. All right, item number 17, consider and possibly approve the Civic Center as the location for the 2015 early voting due to construction. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. Everybody seemed to be okay. I just wanted to get it on the agenda for formal approval.
What's it going to cost us, Judge?
Zero.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike Aaron's offered that up. Originally, it was $300, and Mike contacted me and said, we'll let you have that.
You talked him out of that?
I beat him down. Did I have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Parker to approve this relocation during construction. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 18, consider and possibly approve the county judge as the county's representative to serve on the Architects Council of Government Executive Committee.
Make that motion.
I'm not railroading this.
Wait a minute.
Let me make
I'll
you
make that
understand.
motion.
I'm happy to continue to serve, but just wanted you to know we can nominate anybody that we want to be on that executive committee. Motion by Commissioner Fields.
For you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I ask some questions?
Sure.
Now, you're already the treasurer, right?
Yes, And if we changed this, if we changed this person, you would put somebody else on that executive committee. I would come off. That doesn't necessarily mean you would fill the role as the treasurer. It just means you would be on the executive committee as the county's representative.
This is this in our building over on Edwards?
At COG.
No, this ATCOG is the group that offices in Texarkana
Right.
that serves the 9-county area.
Right.
And that's one of the things that they do right now. We've had some public discussion about them as it relates to them providing meals for our seniors. And the COG contracted originally with NETO to provide those meals. And back several months ago, they changed that contractor. It's now provided by Senior Citizen Services out of Texarkana. So COG is not NETO. NETO is a provider of services that COG happens to use.
But we give them parking space, and we give them some space in that building?
That's for the he's talking about the transportation.
For the transportation,
Edwards.
over there, they do orchestrate transportation with the Trax buses out of that office. So they paid, I think, $150 towards our $850, something like that, utility bill. But we don't charge them any rent on that building.
Well, I see utility bills come through there that we are paying now. I guess we're paying. I don't know whether we get reimbursed.
We're paying or being reimbursed, but I don't know exactly what the allocation is. Sharon?
Well, I thought we agreed that they'd pay them all.
Well,
We
again,
paid
the
for
COG pays, I can't remember the breakdown. It was a total average utilities was like $800 or $850.
Each?
$325, and then, $325, I was wrong. $325 from the COG, $325 from NETO, and from Senior Citizen Services. NETO has yet to fill that office. I was told that they thought, was it February 1 or March 1? They thought they would be in there to handle utility
I was
claims.
thinking February, but I believe it's going to be March.
Okay, so in March, that final component that represented about 100. Okay, well, that's what you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't at the last meeting.
because the bill is in our name, and then we'll get reimbursed by that split $800.
Who's going to reimburse the tuning the piano bill that I seen come through? Somebody tuned the piano over there. Who's going to do it? Who's going to play the piano? COG, ATCOG, or who?
Well, you can go up there and play it.
Why would we get it? Why would we pay to get a piano tuned?
Service to our senior citizens.
Our senior citizens are not in that building. All that's in that building is senior meal provider, ATCOG, and the Trax, and the NETO, and we could tune a piano. It's not our money. Let's just throw it away. Go ahead, they need it.
Well,
Them truck drivers might want to play the piano.
let me say this, the meals are provided up there for the senior citizens. They come up early. They play dominoes. They play 42. There's some ladies that...
Senior
there's
citizens
some,
do now?
Yes, sir.
They serve them there? They serve them in that building? They don't serve senior citizens in that building.
The multi-purpose building?
The one on Edward Street, where we're talking about.
Yeah, they do.
They serve meals up there now?
Yeah.
Yes. I thought they do. Why did we?
I've been there.
I've never seen it.
Depending on the guy.
Some weeks it's more.
Some with me, it's not. They do serve some meals? I thought they took them, I know they deliver.
They also have meals on wheels, but there are.
Right.
The meal, there's
I
several.
thought it was all on wheels now.
No.
I didn't know that.
But they do play, the senior citizens go up there and it gives them a place to get together. They play dominoes. They
Yeah, well,
play
that's
just
okay, I
about.
didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
I thought that they did. That's okay then, we need a piano.
Well, I've been there and there's some of those ladies up there pretty good.
I can imagine that.
I second the
I'm
motion
sorry, I
that's on
I have
the
a
floor.
motion by Commissioner
I second it.
Fields.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, second by Commissioner Riddle then.
Yeah.
We'll let him have it. Okay, all those in favor of appointing county judge to be the COG representative on the executive committee, say aye.
Aye.
Item opposed. Item number 19, consider and possibly approve the acceptance of a donation of topsoil from Russell Dunn to be hauled away by the county. Commissioner Fields, if you'll give us some more details on that.
Okay, up Elliott's Motors up there on that back street, there's, I think, they're in the process of going to build some type of clinic, doctor clinic or something up there. There's a lot of good topsoil up there. Russell called me, he had it stacked off to the side. He said, I will load the dirt, give you the dirt. I went up and looked at it, it's very good topsoil. It's something I definitely can use, and I would, what I do is we just haul it to my shop and dump it there. But the dirt would be a gift to the county, and he would even load it in the truck. I wouldn't even have to take a backhoe or anything up there to load it, so I make that motion.
But it's available for all the commissioners to use.
Well, he gave it to me, but I'd share it with you if you
No,
wanted some.
I just wanted clarification.
Okay, if somebody else needs some, I don't mind. I use topsoil to make my oil dirt.
Hands off now.
If anybody wants some, you can have it. We'll bring it to you.
I make a motion, we do that, and I don't need any topsoil.
Okay.
How quickly do we need to act on getting that off there? You're
He
prepared to
said
act?
not this week, but next week.
And you're
when we're
prepared to
done.
meet his
Yes,
timeframe?
yes,
Okay,
sir.
got a motion by Commissioner Riddle,
Second.
second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of accepting that donation of topsoil from Russell Dunn, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item number 20, consider and possibly approve travel and seminars. All right, get comfortable. These first three, this is a request to send our deputy constables, Harold Connor, Lisa Tolan, Bobby Spearman, all three to the same event, and that is civil process law. It's taught in McKinney. This will be a day-and-a-half event. We've got per diem meal request of $60, which is $40 plus the day of travel. We've got $62 for one hotel room for Lisa and another $62 for a split hotel room between Harold and Bobby Joe. They will take, one of them will take a vehicle here. So we have the total requests for the three. One is 162, one is 162, and one is 100. The difference being the cost of the hotel room, and they'll take one of their county vehicles and put county-provided gasoline in it. So that's the first request from the constables. That was Chris Durant making that request. Second is Clerk Joan Newman would like to attend new official training with Net Data at the Net Data office in Sulphur Springs. This will require only mileage at the going rate for her personal vehicle, so about a $43 trip there to Sulphur Springs. The next request is coming from Sergeant Craig Brown, Sergeant Investigator, request to attend mandatory intermediate child abuse in Linden, Texas, on the 17th and 18th. $45 registration plus the cost of fuel for a county vehicle. Assistant Auditor Christy Davis requests to go to, along with Sharon Reynolds, to go to employment law update in Tyler in March, $99 registration each. They'll take a personal vehicle, looks like a couple of trips there. No hotel, motel, no per diem. So $241.60 for one, bearing the travel costs, and $99 for the other to handle cost of registration. Sergeant Clint Bain requests to go to mandatory environmental investigator designated representative for OSSF refresher class. That's on-site sewage facility or the septic systems that he is responsible for monitoring. This is in March, $165 registration only. I'll be using an agency vehicle, so $165 for the registration plus gas. Oh, I should have paired these together. Same thing requested by Wayne Minor. They'll go together, so there's 2 times the 165. Another request from Sergeant Craig Brown requesting to attend intermediate child abuse. We've got $65 registration and traveling down back and forth to Kilgore, looks like over a 3-day period. $65 plus fuel and a meal. He'll turn in the actual cost of that meal. Clerk Joan Newman requests to go to Region 6 CDCAT Regional Meeting. Do you know what that stands for?
County District Clerks Association.
That's exactly right. You passed. That'll be it. That's in March. $20 registration, taking a personal vehicle. Looks like a total cost of about $77 with mileage and the registration costs. Now, you're just asking for, no, that's not the total. You're not staying at the Staybridge Suites or anything. So it's truly, that's it.
The location, and that's just the conference room there.
Okay, that's everything. All right, this is a request from our district clerk, Deborah Abston, to attend the regional clerks meeting in Tyler in March, $20 registration, and again, mileage, bringing the total cost with mileage and registration, $99.52. Requesting only for registration right now for this event. This is Deborah Abston and Renee Blanton in the district clerk's office to attend the Net Data User Conference in Dallas, March 31st through April 2nd. $300 registration. These are for the pair of them to go. $300 registration, $240 worth of per diem meals, $368.84 for hotel accommodations, and they will carpool together. So the cost for the two of them, $1,044.36. And here is Clerk Joan Newman requesting to go to 2015 Probate Academy in Lubbock, Texas. This will be May 20, 21, 22. $100 registration, per diem meals, $140, hotel for 3 nights at $288.15 for the 3 nights, plus miles. Let's see. Okay, that's times 2 is your 424 miles up there.
I think so.
And it's at
Is that not seeming like?
Yeah, 424 times 2 times 57.5 cents. Have you thought about flying up there? Because I sure have, because I'm going to this same event.
I can look into that.
Well, I'll start looking into it too.
Oh, okay.
That's a long drive. Anyway,
I'm not getting in an airplane. You gonna fly out?
total request of about $975 So that would include that round-trip mileage plus the hotel registration and the per diem. That's it.
Make a motion, we approve.
Motion by Commissioner Riddle and second by Commissioner Fields for approval on those travel requests. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 21, oral and written reports of county officials' approval.
Mr. Department, I don't know if I've done all this with you, but what this will show you is the cash that's at the bank. And then the minus numbers are the bills that are scheduled to be approved today. The back also, you'll see what the balance will be. All the bills are approved for payment that are listed.
Make a motion, we approve reports.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton,
Second.
second by Commissioner Parker for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 22, approve the treasurer's report.
Thank you. Make a motion, we approve treasurer's report.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton for approval. Second. Second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Item number 23, approve budget amendments.
Since I don't have it today, but I will bring it to the next court meeting. We want to store the $1,332,000 and the $920,000 and the $28,000. Whatever that number was.
For the,
For the index.
okay.
I'll bring those to the next court meeting.
Okay.
Just to back up. I'll pay them all.
Would you also show me a summary of how much of our contingency fund we've eaten up thus
Well,
far?
that's something I can tell you, all three of those, in my opinion, qualify for emergency budget provision, so I'm not gonna take those out of contingency, I'm gonna take those out of our balance. So,
Even the additional construction cost?
yeah, because we budgeted an amount, and this was items that weren't anticipated until they went into the building and tore it down.
Okay.
Or broke it, didn't tear it down, but cleaned it all out, and they saw what was in there. So, I think that qualifies, every definition I've seen, that it qualifies to come out of fund balance rather than out of contingency. It's a matter of semantics, but I think what we've got left in contingency is probably 120,000 maybe.
Would you start with 200?
We start with 200. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll
Okay.
that's right.
All right, did you make a motion? I'm sorry.
Well, there's no motion made, there's no budget.
Okay. Well, there's nothing,
Oh, that's right, if you don't have any, we don't have anything to
I'll
approve.
just let you know, we'll bring those.
I did make a motion to pay our bills.
On item number 24, sign orders, approved payments, got a motion by Commissioner Fields.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, before we adjourn, any closing comments? Commissioner Riddle? Commissioner Fields?
I just have one thing. We had our Tri-Lake Volunteer Fire Department chili supper. It was very successful. Had a lot of people out there, and cake auction went well. Pecan pie brought, I think, about $200 or around $200. Gave it back, and it brought 60 more. So pecan pies have gotten high. Anyway, but great. Everything went great, and really appreciate our volunteer fire departments.
I have nothing, Judge. Thank you.
I have anything either. I didn't write any notes down. All right, thank you again for your
Make a
patience.
motion, we adjourn.
On a long meeting. Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I hope we don't owe you for your time today here.
Yeah, it was.
Judge, these are true people right here. They stayed the whole time.
No kidding. I nearly walked out. Thank you for coming up. Well, yeah, we probably will. That's okay. I'm glad you brought that up. I've been sitting there too long. Piece of paper here. Just put it on the back and use my pen. Just give you your full name, address. Carl, what else do you need? Payment like that?
Just wait. Well, get some. This other one.
We don't need social. We don't need social security. We don't need social security.
One, that was it. Everything else was sitting in there, just, one speaker right after the other, and I went, holy cow.
Yeah, put your phone number, and Cheryl will call you if you want. If you're in town and want to just come and pick it up. Otherwise, we'll stick it in line.
Well, hey, you, Miss Carol.
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for coming in. Appreciate y'all.
Okay, there's the bill. Hey, Jimmy, you want to sign the bill? Did you get a chance to look up? That's the main list of bills.
Yeah, right.
This is why I signed.
Everybody get a copy of the change order. You get a copy of that, a copy of the
You got a copy of the
I got his report on the change order.
Here is a paper copy. There is a copy that's supposed to be.
Oh, there you are.
Now, I don't have one where you signed it, he has it, so I can give it the one that
Hey, Bart,
I think you'd rather have that.
can I make a copy of the? I'm asking you for it.
The only thing that, same thing we were talking all about. We don't want to, give, James Construction any idea that we've got any bad agreement. We're not really in serious trouble on our roads unless they don't get it seal covered out.
Yeah.
We'll still get our full time, we should get.
Mark, I need that signed copy so I can make a.
Well, next March, yes. But
That's okay.
because of receiving more than we needed in September, we would like to receive $4.2 million bond.
Okay, I
And have that $1.2 million to roll over to next March. When that big payment comes out.
Okay, but I'm just gonna make a copy of the front sheet, just his signature. I got you.